Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Theme Park Conductor. I am having a wonderful night. I hope everyone is having a wonderful night, still staying cool out there. I have a very special guest, Mr. Webba. Today, we are talking about D23, the announcements that came out of D23, what we can see come from D23. And we are going to hold Josh DeMauro accountable. We are going to do it. He said in the D23 panel, he said all these projects that were announced are going to be done within 5 years. So it's going to be very, very, very interesting. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it. Again, everybody, I am so glad you can join us on this very special episode of Theme Park Conductor. Again, we have our amazing guest, Mr. Webba. Mr. Webba, how you doing, sir, tonight?
Theme Park Conductor, thank you so much for having me on. It is a pleasure to be here, and I'm so excited to talk with you on this topic. And yeah, I'm doing great. Just been super busy like these past 2 months. Honestly, I haven't really had time for anything really for any social media interaction or even for really like just I don't know, other activities. Just saving the city, constantly, and and other adult responsibilities. But I'm really happy to be here to discuss this because D23 is an awesome event, and we got some awesome news. I'm so excited about, especially for our home parks over here.
Absolutely. And before we go any further, Mr. Webba, where can everyone find you on social media, sir?
Absolutely. So you can find Mr. Webba on Instagram and Twitter. It's going to be Mr. Webba, as you see down here, at WebSlinger760. I have become more active on Instagram. On Twitter, I have kind of pulled back from it, but I'm still there. You can still find me there. You can still DM, we can still talk and stuff like that. I just kind of pulled myself out of the main kind of um, mainstream community, I guess you could say. But I'm still there. You can still find me. We can still chat. So, yeah, you can find me there.
Absolutely. And again, it's great to have you on. Everyone at home, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at Theme Park Conductor. You can find me on Twitter at Theme Conductor. You can also find my Conductor Thursday live streams every Thursday at 7 p.m. Tomorrow night, we are going to have Universal High. We're going to be talking everything from the past, present, and future of Universal Studios Hollywood. So definitely stay tuned for that. But we're going to jump right into it. We're going to start talking about Tiana's Bayou Adventure because Josh tomorrow announced that our version of Tiana's Bayou Adventure is supposed to be opening on November the 15th. Why get the screen ready, Mr. Webb? I wanted to ask you right off the gate. With everything that's gone wrong, sorry to say, with the version out in Walt Disney World,
Yeah.
do you think November the 15th is a justified date, or you think it needs to be pushed back even farther?
So that depends, right? I think that if technically the ride is ready to go now, but they're pushing it to November into November, and from the original date that they could, because I was expecting it to open like maybe sometime later September and maybe early October, but since it's gonna be like mid-November, I think if they technically are done with the right system, this gives them extra time, a buffer to test everything out, because right now, like I've heard, they're still having problems over there in Walt Disney World, unfortunately, right? And I do believe, I will keep saying that, I do believe Disneyland is going to have the superior version of Tiana's. Another thing I'm excited about is actually this attraction opens a day before my birthday.
Ooh, there you
Yeah.
go.
So happy birthday to me.
Absolutely. It's really interesting since you brought up Walt Disney World and it having issues. Some of the latest things that I'm hearing from their version out there is they've had to close the attraction numerous of times, and we're talking probably dozens of times at this point. And we're not even talking just for a day; we're talking multiple days, and they're
Wow.
they're having issues from audio to animatronics not working to boats being evacuated, and it kind of gets me wondering, like you just said, a lot of us were anticipating, because they really ramped up the construction on our version in the last couple months.
Yeah.
Like they really ramped it up. So we all thought, okay, well, it's going to be open, sometime, like you said, in September, maybe October. But the fact now they have an official date, which is November the 15th. It kind of gets me wondering if they were trying to push for September, maybe early October, but they decided to push it another month just to make sure they can work out all the kinks and bad things that could possibly happen. Because I don't think they want a Magic Kingdom, you know, redo.
Well, right, and and for Walt Disney World, from what I heard was that Walt Disney World park operations rushed Walt Disney Imagineering to get the ride open. And what have we seen time and time again, right? A recent example of when something is rushed is with Mickey's Toontown over here in California, right? That was rushed to me. It made its deadline, but then look what happened. They had to go back, re-wall everything because stuff what like paint was coming off, there was piping issues with the water, like, of course the rain was some factor, and that's why they try to rush to open, because the rain halted the construction. But it's like when you rush stuff like this to make a deadline, right? I know, I get that businesses want a deadline, but when you rush a product, it doesn't matter what the product is, it's not going to come out in a quality manner. Like I saw videos of Talents by Adventure where they were going by a whole set of audio animatronics, like the bears. They're playing instruments, and they're not working. None of them are moving at all.
Yeah.
So it's just like, and then issues with like the logs and stuff like that. It's just a variety of issues, and I get it. Stuff is mechanical. The more as like we've seen, right, the more sophisticated attractions we've gotten, the kind of more issues we've been seeing. But I get it. These are highly advanced technological attractions. I guess stuff's going to happen, but if stuff isn't really tested out thoroughly in like different manners and just kind of rush to meet a deadline, you're going to get issues like what we're seeing now. So hopefully at Disneyland, especially in 2 hours being a little bit smaller attraction, it won't be as big of a hindrance. Hopefully, I'm hoping not. So I hope that we have a smooth transition from you know construction to now a good opening. Right. I'm expecting still some slight issues here and there, of course, but I hope nothing big like compared to what's going on with Walt Disney World.
Yeah. See that's the thing, again, and we're going to talk about it down later in the video, but it's like the same thing with, what's going on in Magic Kingdom, because they're going to be bringing a version of Cars Land
Yes.
to the Magic Kingdom, and it's going to be taking over Tom Sawyer's Island out there. And the problem people have is, especially right now on social media, ever since that was announced at D23, it's been an ongoing battle back and forth. People are hating the idea, people are loving the idea, people that wanted the theme park to expand, but now they're hating that Tom Sawyer's Island out there is getting removed. It's the same thing here with Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And it was the same thing out there in the Magic Kingdom, because we both had the version of Splash Mountain.
Yeah.
And what people got super upset about, I don't know if the Walt Disney World's version of Splash Mountain was so great. Like I don't mean like I don't mean like that, but I mean like compared to ours, which is the OG version. I think people got really upset when ours got removed because, like George has said, and I've watched plenty of OG's videos, and George, I've listened to him basically say enough is enough with cloning attractions for multiple Disney parks. It's time to separate. It's time to, not clone every single attraction.
Mhm.
I get it in the long run. It might be cheaper for Disney to do that because they could buy multiple sets of animatronics, of set pieces, of, if they're building a roller coaster, of track, of trains, and all this stuff. It might be cheaper for them, but in the long run, who wants to fly to Florida when they can experience the same thing out here in SoCal and save thousands of dollars?
Well, and when you look at Disneyland and Magic Kingdom, right? I mean, I'm sorry to say, but like, even though I've never been to Magic Kingdom, a lot of people tell me, including, George, OG, they've been there, a lot of people who I know who've been to Magic Kingdom tell me that Disneyland Park is just superior. Like most of the cloned rides that are between both parks, ours are superior. I've heard that their Splash Mountain was better, and it looked like it. I watched videos where like they have a lot more color. It's bright. There's more scenes. They have the two-seater size system besides the and not the single seater,
Yeah,
and you don't get soaking wet on it like on ours do. So it's like in almost every, and also we have a Toontown. They got rid of their Mr. Toads, right? So we have a lot of great stuff in our Disneyland park that Magic Kingdom just doesn't have, and if we do, it's better than theirs. So
yeah,
I mean, so Magic Kingdom really needs some good heavy hitters. Um, and right now, unfortunately, Tiana's is kind of down in the mud right now, unfortunately. Hopefully they can get that back up. But
yeah,
speaking of clone attractions, right? Like I'm personally with if it's like international to domestic, I'm kind of okay with that just because I'm like, okay, realistically, how often am I going to go to Paris or to Japan or something, right?
sure,
Yeah, or even vice versa, if someone who lives there coming here. But for domestic, yeah, like I want like a difference between the two, right?
yeah,
And when Pandora for this DCA was first announced, everybody was complaining on this Twitter or in just social media in general, Facebook, Twitter, or whatever, complaining. We don't want Pandora here. We already have one. Animal Kingdom. Why do we need one here? And I understand that the thought process was we have Galaxy's Edge, the same exact thing on both coasts, same rides, same land, everything, right? But my thought was I don't know why everybody was getting upset because, at least in my mind, I was like, this isn't going to be the same Pandora. It's still going to be Pandora in the world of Pandora, but this is going to be something totally different from Animal Kingdom's Pandora.
sure,
And and then now with Cars, I guess it was rumored to be that Radiator Springs Racers was coming to Magic Kingdom, but no, what they're getting is they're getting a Cars land area, but it's a different like landscape basically. It's not Radiator Springs Racers.
yeah,
So that's good, right? Same IP, but different aspects of it, if you will, right?
absolutely. One thing I wanted to ask you before we leave Tiana's Bayou
Mhm.
Adventure was the fact that the Hungry Bear restaurant that's
Mhm.
getting that's getting renamed to Hungry Bear what
Barbecue
is it?
Jamboree.
Barbecue Jamboree, which is a reference to the um oh
Country
god,
Country Bears?
yeah, Country Bear Jamboree. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank here. No, no, no. So it's given a reference to that. Then, on the other hand, Critter Country.
Mhm.
They have announced that Critter Country is no longer going to be the name of that land. Now it's going to be called Bayou Country.
I
What
heard about that.
what do you think about the name change? Do you think that's appropriate?
So, it's weird, like, I'm indifferent, but with a kind of cautious indifferent, and what I mean by that is, like, that I'm not sure how to feel about that, because I feel like already we have a lot of Tiana reference, and keep in mind, like, I really love Princess and the Frog, like, that movie is great, but we have a lot of Tiana in the park now, right? We have it's in New Orleans crossing over into Critter Country that's now being, Bayou Country, right?
Yeah.
Um, so it's not necessarily like anything wrong with the IP. It's just like there's a lot of just that one IP, that whole area of the park. That's just kind of my little issue there. But I'm not like mad, upset, throwing a fit about it. But now I'm just curious. Okay, with Bayou Country, where does Winnie the Pooh fit into that? And it's like I think they're still keeping the canoes there, Davy Crockett's, right? Like, okay, cool, because we still have the Rivers of America. But I'm wondering, like, I think eventually down the line, I think that Pooh is gonna go. Whether it's gonna go and they're gonna expand that area, or then go and, and replace Pooh with something else. Because I mean, it's an older ride, like Pinocchio, Snow White, but it hasn't been updated. There's still old tech in it. Um, and I don't know, like I know a lot of people love Pooh, but I would really love to see something else better put there, or if you want to redo a whole new Pooh ride that's up to date and with modern technology or something like that, I think
Sure.
that'd be cool. But now with it being Bayou Country, now you kind of have to stick with that Bayou theme now, right? Now it's like, okay, what are you gonna put here, so to
E-
speak?
Exactly. And, referencing off that, Bob Iger has been consistent on his comments where any new attraction,
Hmm.
land, experience, anything like that, it is going to be IP based. There's
Right.
no longer going to be an attraction or anything like that where it's not going to be IP based. Which
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump off script here for just a second. I think that's why we didn't get any announcement about Tomorrowland, because to this very day they still don't know what the hell to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point because you look at this, right? I mean, you look at the IP for a Tomorrowland, right?
Yeah,
And usually a Tomorrowland is kind of, it intertwines with like space, right? I
yeah,
mean, look, we had Lightyear. How well did that do? I mean, me and my wife watched it. We are like I literally, I give that movie like a 4 out of 5 stars. Like it was okay at best. But it's like, and then Wally's cute and all. I love Wally. I would actually love to see Wally more in the parks. But it's like for other IP, it's like, what are you gonna put in Tomorrowland, right?
exactly.
And I think that's where Tomorrowland, if you were aiming to still go to a futuristic route from the modern time, it would need to be original stuff because it would have to be stuff about like either more about like discovery and scientific advancement and achievements, right? What type of experiences as a human can you have in the far future with later and higher tech, right? um and so I think right now there's a point right now where that's kind of very hard to do because technology is advancing so fast and not really in the way we thought it would, right? Because what, back like in the 80s and 90s, we all thought we had flying cars in like 2000s, right?
Oh, yeah,
Well, we don't. What we have is really accelerating AI that's going on, and like everything, like your phone is this computer pretty much getting smaller and smaller, right? We're now going on to self-driving cars. So the future is coming and it's here, but in different ways than I think that society back like in the 50s and 60s and 70s thought it was going to look like. Now if we look at the futurist, like the modern buildings, it doesn't look futuristic. It looks very corporate like, right? At least in the US, very flat, plain structure, right? Like not very like interesting, so to
yeah,
speak. But if you have like that kind of retro Tomorrowland look where it's like that kind of I don't know, that outlook of the future we had in the 60s and 70s of what the future would look like, that kind of aesthetic they gave Tomorrowland, I think that would fit it. But as of now, yeah, I do think they will touch Tomorrowland eventually.
yeah,
But I think it'll probably be in phases, instead of like a whole shutdown and redoing. I think it's going to be done in phases at some point once they start figuring out what they want to do, and once Bayou Country's finished. Because look, they have Haunted Mansion closed, right? They're still working on that queue. They're going to have the Madame Leota gift shop. They're then going to have Bayou Country, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and then that whole part of the park is done, right? Because you have the new Tiana restaurant. That whole New Orleans side and that Critter Country side of the park is all done.
yeah,
Mickey's Toontown. is done. We've had a lot of upgrades to attractions in Fantasyland. So, and then we had then we just had those updates in Adventureland for was it for the Treehouse, and
Yeah,
then for Jungle Cruise and Indiana Jones when it got its refurbishment. So it's like really what's left besides Frontierland, which is super small over here, and then Tomorrowland.
yeah,
Really, Tomorrowland's the big obvious no brainer one that needs the most amount of love.
yeah.
So I think that one will be the next one, but I think it'll be in phases. In my opinion, I think it'll be in phases.
Sure. And it's really interesting you bring that up as well because again, Tomorrowland for a lot of fans, including me and you, from what I can tell, it's another sore subject. Just like I said at the very beginning with the Tom Sawyer's Island and Magic Kingdom right now, it's a very sore subject. One
Mhm.
thing I can say though is if they do a complete land redo, like I mean redo, the only thing they keep is Space Mountain, but get rid of everything else. I
Yeah.
would I would like to see them either base the whole land off of Tron, which they could do because that's
Hmm.
futuristic, or if Disney is willing to make another attempt, maybe try to maybe revisit the 2055 version of Tomorrowland.
Right. Yeah. 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 Exactly. But again, you got to have the IP right. So Tron could work going there, right? Because
Yeah,
if I'm correct, Tron is about AI, right?
yeah, it
So
is.
that can go in there. So I think really, if Disney, because I always thought it'd be cool if Disney like works with like top science and stuff like that, and looked at where like computers are going and AI,
Oh,
and like
absolutely.
more like self-efficient robotics and stuff like that can go on. But then it's like, okay, well then what type of experience can you give the guests to live in that world, right? Because that's what's happening. The IP, you're as a guest, you're living that experience through that type of technology. So that'd be very interesting. But I know that that's a very probably a hard project to try to come up with
Yeah.
because you got to figure out the engineering and the imagination, to be creative to do that. And plus, also too, like, what are you going to do with that little theater that's right by Space Mountain?
It's so funny you say that because from what we've all heard for weeks, if not a couple months now, was even before D23 happened, was that it was rumored that Tomorrowland was going to get a facelift. It wasn't going to be humongous, but it was going to be a facelift. They had construction companies currently bidding on the project to start doing these changes and facelifts to Tomorrowland, and that's the last thing we heard about it. And again, we all saw D23. We all know what came out of it. Tomorrowland wasn't even mentioned. So again, we're now going to wait another probably 2 years in 2026 for the next D23 and find out if we even get anything at all. But
Right.
again, Tomorrowland is just the way I see it is if they don't want to touch it until a certain point, let's say, obviously Tiana's will be open. Haunted Mansion is open right now, but they are on the virtual queue system because of the extended queue not being done yet.
Hmm.
Then, they're talking about Avengers Campus bringing two new attractions, the Avengers e-ticket we've been wanting for years now, and a new ride that we weren't even anticipating happening. Then they're talking about bringing Avatar, the DCA. They're talking about bringing Coco, the DCA.
Yeah.
That's going to be a dark ride. Then you got all this other stuff. Then there are even rumors talking about the Hyperion going away, so that's even more land they can use to add more stuff to DCA.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking once that gets to a point, again, we might not see Tomorrowland even touch, and I hate to even say this because it breaks my heart. We might not see it be touched until maybe 2026, maybe 2028, maybe even 2030.
I,
But
I yeah.
at, at that point, I would say, you know what? You got all these new lands, you got all these other attractions, all this other stuff to do. close off Tomorrowland and bulldoze 90% of it and start over.
Yeah, well, because you think about it, right? Because I agree with OG55 on this. That even though like everybody has problems with Tomorrowland, right? But here's the thing: when you go to Disneyland, right? At least when I go to Disneyland, I still have fun on what's in that land, right? I go on Star Tours, I go on Buzz Lightyear, Space Mountain, right? So I go on these rides, So there is stuff for people to do there, and they are take like Buzz can get up to like 45 minutes. Star Tours, 45 minutes, not all the time, but, sometimes there is, and Autopia still has a long line all the time. Space Mountain, long line all the time. So there is stuff there to occupy people. So I think like Disneyland is not really the focus right now for huge announcements for expansions because again Disneyland already got a lot of stuff. They got a new treehouse. They got which was improved because they moved the main trunk off the walkway. They got a redone Toontown with a new attraction in it. The Haunted Mansion. Now Bayou Country and Tiana's Bayou Adventure. There's so much stuff that Disneyland has been getting.
Yeah,
And it's like, okay, we need to focus really on DCA because here's the thing. When you go and buy a single day ticket for DCA, I'm sorry, but the value that they charge for that single day ticket for DCA does not hold the same value for your money that Disneyland does at
no,
all. So hearing all these updates for DCA, I was super thrilled about it. I'm like, this is what the park needs. Now, here's the thing: they announced stuff, right? Doesn't mean there could be other little side projects that they would want to do as well in conjunction with that.
sure.
So, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts right there.
Oh, no, no worries. The next topic we're going to talk about, and now you brought it up, is DCA. So we're going to
Mhm.
jump into Avatar. So one of the things you brought up, a little bit ago was people were upset that we are getting Avatar out here, that it was going to be a carbon copy of the one that's in Animal Kingdom.
Mhm.
But come to find out from the concept art we saw at D23, from the pictures, the ride vehicles, just the whole land in general, it's completely different.
Mhm.
I think even Josh Tomorrow even said, if I'm not mistaken, he said that this land is going to be based off the second and third movie, which the Avatar and uh, Animal Kingdom is based off the first one because you got the flowing mountains and the waterfalls. This is
Yeah.
going to be something similar, but we're not going to have flowing mountains. We're going to have like I'll show a picture. It's going to look like a moon crest.
Oh,
You see?
I do. I love this. It looks so freaking cool, man. Oh my god! Like I love rock work and water and stuff like that. And like this right here is like something that I would never see like in real life. So this is like so cool. Like I would love to see something like this, man.
Oh, absolutely. So I was watching Fresh Baked. So David from Fresh Baked, he is a great source when it comes to the Disneyland Resort. The guy is the absolute goat when it
Hmm.
comes to him filming updates in the Disneyland Resort. And one of the things I was watching, because he put out about an hour and 25-minute video about him talking about all this, was that this area right here, so this looks like some type of portal or something, maybe like an entrance to the land. And we're seeing that right now with Epic Universe being built. Each land has a portal you walk through, and it's like an enclosed immersion of the land. So there's nothing else around. You walk into this grand appeal, kind of like what you do with Super Nintendo World. You walk through a tunnel, and there it is, Super Nintendo World right there, minus the Comcast building, but I'm not going to go there.
Wait, are you sure? I think I see it somewhere in the background there.
Yeah, it's hiding. But so from what I understand, from what he pointed out, was that this area here looks like an entrance. Over here, obviously, you got the main attraction. Over
Right.
here, this walk work almost looks like a it almost looks like a secondary attraction. So another
Hmm.
attraction, it could be, like a indoor dark ride, kind of like a Peter Pan type ride. Who knows? You got shops and restaurants over here. I think you even got some over here, probably some meet and greets as well. You know, one thing I wanted to ask you because I saw on Twitter, and I could pull it up as well. Mondo from Five Fires, he got this from another source. Um, they were there's a rumor going around that Avatar could possibly go into Grizzly Peak, the Rapids attraction in that area. I think it would be a bad idea because the whole point of Disneyland Forward was to add capacity to the parks. It's
Hmm.
not to replace something that's already there, that's already, eating guests, so to speak. So the only other two areas which we've talked about this, OG and I have talked about it, George has talked about it, even me and you have been on their channel and talked about it. Everyone's talked about it. Where, we didn't hear anything about Zootopia. So now it leads the question, does the Avatar land go into the Hollywood backlot and also take up the space of the Toy Story load and unload bus area that's behind it? Or does it still go into the Toy Story parking lot?
Oh, I think it's
The Simba parking lot. Sorry.
I think Simba parking lot
Okay.
because one, you could like that tunnel you're describing, you could create a tunnel like that that goes over because here's the thing, go to the map, yeah, and then if you go left, right, I mean, obviously you have Disneyland Drive, but you have that whole entire area to create something big like that. You have pretty much two parking areas and a little driveway there
Yeah.
to create that. Now, here's the thing: you're gonna have the Pixar freaking hotel right there.
Yeah.
But maybe they can find a way to kind of like cover that. I'm sure they'll cover that or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like how you have on downtown Disney, you actually go over a bridge that goes over Disneyland Drive.
Yeah.
But even George, I pointed out to him, he didn't know we were on a bridge. I told him, I was like, yeah, we're on a bridge right now. So if only that small amount of concealment makes you not know you're on a bridge, imagine what a more like enveloped like kind of bridge that's more like camouflaged and like themed into the scene and atmosphere of Pandora,
Yeah.
that you have a transition from DCA to Pandora and you don't even know you're going over a freaking street, right? And I just think that space is more better suited for this area because it's so massive and you can put a lot of that in there, I think.
Absolutely. And Pandora, from what I've seen, it's going to be a massive land, and I'm happy about that because it's probably, and I'm hoping it doesn't just have the one attraction. I hope it has two attractions. Obviously, it's going to have dining. Obviously, it's going to have shopping. It's going to probably, hopefully, have character meet and greets because I don't think the one in uh, Animal Kingdom has meet and greets. I could be wrong because I'm just like you. I've never been to Walt Disney World. Um, but from what I've seen, and me and OG talked about this when George was in Florida right before he got back and they went to D23, was that more than likely the Avatar land, if it does go in the Simba lot, is going to be in this section here. It's going to be in the very back corner.
Mhm. And that's the thing too, is like that like it doesn't like from up here it doesn't look like it's that much space, but when you're actually on the ground in
Oh,
there is it's a lot, you know. So I mean, and here's the thing too, is like that, that there could always be budget cuts
yeah,
creating, Avatar or Pandora or whatever, right? So, like I don't really know how like big compared to for that's going to be in here exactly.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean if they can still fit that and not even cover like you know, and I only get like one third of it or something, that'd be really good, because that means that they can add something else to the other parking lot without
Oh,
even having to utilize the entire thing for that one land. So I think that'd be dope.
oh yeah. So from what I've seen, and again, talking to OG, it does seem like that whole land is only going to take one third of those two parking lots. So
Okay.
you're talking about having a couple more lands in just those two parking spots, which I'm totally fine with. I'm
Yeah.
totally fine with. Um, oh, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say I'm wondering if the trick for this, because again, limited space, right? I'm wondering if their big trick for this is they're gonna have to utilize a lot of underground um type of scenarios, right? So although we have that show building, that big rock work, and it's gonna be the show building, I'm wondering if a lot of it's gonna be underground, because you're gonna need space. And if you don't want to go outward, go downward and be underground, so that way you're not, covering so much surface layer.
So the you know the question I have for you is, let's say, for example, let's say that guests need to get from DCA. So obviously you can see right here you got the Pixar Pier,
Yes.
got this right here, and people want to get over to Pandora and whatever else might go in this lot.
Hmm.
You know, it makes me curious if they're going to extend the monorail, and this could be another stop on the monorail system.
Well, what's funny is like that the monorail barely even goes through DCA. I mean, like you look at Disneyland, it's pretty much on whole one side of the park, right? So it's like, um, they could, but then they would have to like build a monorail to go all the way around the park or through the park or something, right? So either way, I think in the future the monorail is going to have to be moved, right? Because if you're looking at going back to Tomorrowland, if you're looking at Tomorrowland, you're going to have to do something with the people mover track, because that goes through like two attractions,
Yeah,
right? It goes right next to the monorail. The monorail goes throughout all Tomorrowland. You have to move all that around, and then if you want to extend it out to here, you can do that. But you're gonna have to now like section a lot of stuff off to start building pillars, rerouting the track, all that stuff. And then especially if you're gonna take away the bus loading station right outside of the Hollywood area,
yeah.
and use that for theme park space, you're gonna have to reroute the monorail again. So
Well,
I think in the future it will be rerouted at some point into
yeah.
wherever it's gonna go. But do I see a monorail going into Pandora? Maybe I don't know,
Well,
because
see, the only reason I bring that up is
yeah.
because if they decide to bring Pandora into the symbol lot and they stick it in the corner here,
Hmm.
you, like you said earlier, you got the Pixar Pal or Pixar Place. I keep calling it Pal. I don't know why. Pixar Place Hotel. You got this whole strip right here to build a station, because obviously they're gonna have Pandora if it goes into the symbol lot, but they're not gonna just have Pandora. You have to think they're gonna have two other lands, possibly dozens of attractions, shopping, dining, entertainment. So it would make sense to me if they do build something in the Hollywood backlot, whether it's Pandora or something else, if they put that there, like you just said, obviously it's going to extend into the bus load and unload area from the Toy Story parking lot. Um, the thing that I see interesting, like you said, was they're going to have to close down the monorail because they're going to have to, remove some of the track and reroute it. That would be a perfect time, since Disneyland Forward's all approved now. They don't have to go through red tape and all this bullshit.
Yeah.
Excuse my language. But it would make sense at that time to build another station here. Like you said, DCA doesn't have a station. And what makes sense to me is this is kind of like right next to DCA, but you also have it to the new land as well.
Right. Or conductor, if you can scroll up a little bit on the
Sure.
map. Yeah. So you know how on the Tomorrowland side of the monorail, it kind of like the monorail is like it's next to harbor, right? So what if the monorail goes all the way around the park and goes right here to like Paradise? I mean, a Pixar place. So it goes all around the outside of the park, and
Yeah.
instead of going through like this Disneyland Drive or going through DCA, it goes along the outer perimeter of the park, or not on the outs park, but still in the park, but on the outskirts, and then it goes up Disneyland Drive to the Pixar Place section.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be more than possible because I think that would be a great thing because like you have the station at downtown Disney, and it's
Yeah.
at a great spot. Don't get me wrong, it's at a great spot because you have the Parkside Market getting constructed. You have all that shopping right there that they're going to be opening hopefully pretty soon. You
Hmm.
got Din Tai Fung. You got a grassy area with a stage for concerts. You got the jazz kitchen right. You got everything right there. So the downtown Disney station is fine. Tomorrowland, I guess it could stay there because it's already there. But
Right.
for a third stop, I don't think it would be such a horrible thing to put it down Disneyland Drive. I just don't think so. Or somewhere in this generic area. I just don't think that would be a bad thing.
No, because the monorail, I mean, although technically it's a ride, you can just ride. It's also transportation, right? So it's both. So they're going to want to utilize it to where it stops off at resorts. you
Yeah,
know, and this
yeah,
and this would be one of those spots. Now, how they do it, like I said, I think it's better if they just went around the kind of outside the park instead
sure.
of having to worry about trekking through the entire like two parks to get there,
Yeah,
right? So, but yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. I think that'd be really interesting, especially when you have a potential third park which was announced here at this D23. But if
yeah,
they do one at Toy Story, that's a whole nother logistics thing they got to work out of how to transport people from the main parks to that park. But
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, if Pandora doesn't take up a lot of space, even in Simba, because there's so much space there, that would
Yeah,
be great. Because like you said, conductor, you can have two more in-depth theme lands of great stuff, and that's exciting, right? Because now you have extended DCA, and maybe even possibly now if you have another land like at the top portion of the parking lot there, like
yeah,
just left of Pixar Place, potentially maybe you can even have because that's theme park.
yeah,
Pixar Place is now maybe considered a theme park now, like in the theme park DCA.
yeah.
So it would be like another California hotel. So you could maybe charge Disney could probably charge a little bit more premium because you're inside the park now. But
Exactly. So that's not a horrible thing either. So it really honestly depends on what they decide to do with Avatar and where they want to put it, whether it's in the Hollywood Studios backlot or it's in the Simba lot where it should go.
yeah,
Without,
I in my opinion, the Hollywood Studios backlot, at least for that area, is not enough space, in my opinion, for to have a built from the ground up majestic Pandora land.
yeah,
I
because
mean,
it,
I
it,
mean,
it, if you look at it, let's just look at it for just a brief second. So this this right here is the Hollywood backlot right here.
right.
And then you got the bus and unload. Don't get me wrong, it's a fairly good amount of space.
That's a good size, yeah.
But for Avatar, that's questionable.
Well, and again, because you're pushing along the main like public streets there,
Yeah,
like where people drive. So it's like I know,
yeah,
like I said earlier, you can go underground, but then where in that boundaries can you go? Again, everybody at home, I am not an architect. I'm not a construction worker. I know nothing about this. It's just my guess as a theme park nerd trying to just speculate here. But then and then again, right? If you look at the Esplanade, what's going to happen to the Esplanade when you have a whole land crunched up against there? You have DCA extended up out that way.
yeah. And that's a whole separate issue because people have issue with the Esplanade because it's like stuck in the mid to late 90s. There's just nothing going on with it. It looks ugly. Oh my god.
Oh man, but you know what though, I really want something to be done with the backlot though. Like I hate that. I really do not like. If there's anything in both of these parks, I do not like. I actually do not like. It's
Yeah.
that fake backdrop of the sky in the Hollywood area. It's
Oh, it's
so
ugly.
ugly. Get rid of it. I know it's a building, but like get rid of it though. It's atrocious. And Yeah, I mean Pandora, I'm really excited for it. Like I said, I did not believe it was going to be a copy paste of
No.
Animal Kingdom's Pandora. And here's the thing too, Conductor. I think Disney learned their lesson from Galaxy's Edge. I
Yeah.
think they learned, oh, we should probably have, if we're going to do the same IP, which is fine, at least in our domestic parks, we should have different experiences for
Oh
both
yeah.
coasts,
Oh
right?
yeah. Without a doubt. And that's, again, that's something that Disney is finally starting to learn. And it
Hmm.
kind of sucks it took this long to sit there and, realize that. It's like, it's almost like common sense. It's like, why in the hell would you do that? Why? I
Yeah.
don't understand why the hell you would freaking do that. One thing, and I don't have it pulled up here, but I'm going to pull it up here
Yeah.
so we can talk about it. Is let me bring it up. Uh,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
yeah, we need to talk about this because this. Okay, here we go.
Oh, and actually, can I just say real quick, Conductor, why
Yeah,
is it that these other Disney parks are getting way cooler Spider-Man rides, Mr.
I
Webba rides than what we got here?
I know. But it made
and
me.
and uh, and now keep in mind, right? Like the actual attraction itself, like the concept, it's not bad. It's not like a horrible ride. But for Spider-Man, like like I wanted something more of like more thrilling for Spider-Man. If you catch my drift.
Oh no, absolutely. I wanted to ask you straight on.
Hmm.
So when you look at this picture here, this concept art, do you like it? Do you hate it? What's your thoughts on it?
Oh, I think it looks awesome. I like that this looks like a how to call it. It looks fun. Like, it looks like a cool place to be at. I'm trying to think of something how to say without just sounding generic. It,
Yeah,
it looks like it's fun. It looks adventurous. It looks like there's stuff to do there. It does. And here's if you go back up real quick, conductor.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
it doesn't look like that tiny little land that you experience while you're there currently, right? This
yeah,
looks like there's a lot to do there, a lot to experience, a lot to see. That's why I like. Now, of course, again, it's concept art, right? Concept art almost all the time is going to look better than real life because you can add like different flares of color and stuff like that to it, right? But this looks really good. I like it. The only kind of odd thing though is that Guardian still stands out because of the shape of the building. Just kind of it doesn't really align with the aesthetic of everything else. But hey, you know what? We have it. It's a great ride. Whatever. No, everything else looks like a cool type of Avengers campus, and it looks fun. So yeah, I'm really excited for this kind of what double in size expansion that we're gonna get.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, how about you, conductor? Like, what's your thoughts on this?
So my thoughts compared to the 2019 version of the one show building that we could see, which was the Avengers E-ticket.
Hmm.
I think this absolutely looks incredible. I don't
Hmm.
think any of us in our right mind were expecting two rides out of this concept art. We knew we were going to get the Avengers E-ticket, but
Yeah.
we had absolutely no idea there was going to be a second attraction.
No.
And the fact that the aesthetics of it, you can see how big the building is. It looks completely modern. It looks like it was designed by Tony Stark himself, which is
Hmm.
absolutely incredible. You have the Stark Industries logo on the building. You have another Quinjet back in the background. And I wanted to ask you about this real quick before I jump to something else that I see in this picture.
Hmm.
Is the fact that you have a Quinjet, obviously here on the Avengers building, that's been there since the land opened. Now you have another one built in the background, and a
Yeah.
lot of people were speculating, could this even expand to another attraction so we can have a fifth attraction in the land? Maybe down the road, like way down the road, like in the 2030s. But the fact that there's another Quinjet vehicle. What do you think about that?
I mean, really, I think anything's always really possible, right? I mean, you ask, is that possible? Yeah, you know, but what's the probability of it? I don't know. I give it like a 40% probability, really. And I think two attractions for Avengers Campus is enough, really, because now you have now you have four rides, right? You have Spider-Man, Guardians, and these two other attractions.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: most lands have like either like Galaxy's Edge only has two.
Yeah.
So so here you're gonna have four. So really think that's more than enough. If they want to go further, I'm not gonna say no, right? It's another ride. Cool, right? I just hope that maybe even like down there in that area or something, we get like another type of show or whatever, right? Some more kinetic energy within the park. And here's the thing, right? What I want to say, what I love what they did with Avengers Campus compared to Galaxy Edge was with Avengers Campus, dude. They didn't stick with the timeline, even though like the theme and the atmosphere is like Avengers Campus. Anytime a new TV show comes out or a movie, they introduce the characters. Like when Moon Knight came out,
Yeah.
Moon Knight was there. When What If came out, they had the Captain America zombie, right? I mean, like they have all this stuff, and like they're not tying this to a specific timeline, and you're
No.
always hearing like the Avengers theme play all the time. It's so cool. And so I think, yeah, again, back to your question though, possibly, sure, probability for me is not very high. Would it be cool? Yeah. But I just think that for now, my focus is on the two attractions. I want to focus what's more coming like now than
Sure.
rather what's super later, because that's right now is what I want to get excited about.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this, just hypothetically,
Yeah.
because there was another Easter egg to this picture besides that Quinjet in the very background. This building right here represents, if I'm not mistaken, the Hyperion Theater.
Hmm.
Now, a lot of people have been, on Twitter and on Twitter general, Instagram, all that, even Reddit. I've even saw a post on Reddit that the Hyperion is going away. Whether it's going to be leveled to the ground or it's going to be gutted out, where there's going to be no show in there whatsoever. It's going to be a empty building. Could this be another attraction, an indoor dark ride? Because as you can see here, if I'm not mistaken, that almost looks like a Pim Test Kitchen logo, and I know
Right.
that's the Test Kitchen actual restaurant. That's too massive for that.
I mean, if we're thinking about like, so where Guardians is, right? Because if you scroll up a little bit on the picture,
Sure.
please. So
Yep.
so Guardians, right? Yeah, Guardians is literally right next to that theater, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and there's space there to put something there, right? Um, Now here's the question, because for me, Zootopia would have gone really well in the Hollywood area, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all urban stuff, right? It's like
Sure.
a little town city. So, but it's like, okay, what do you use that Hyperion Theater for? Do you use it for the Avengers Campus side, or do you use it for something else? Because it's kind of in the middle. Do you use it for something else for a different type of expansion or a replacement in that area?
Right.
So again, yeah, me personally, I'm fine with having the four attractions. That's more than enough for a land. I don't want to get greedy and be like, oh no, this needs to take up everything. If
Yeah.
we get it, cool. But I think we can get something else, I could probably an attraction or like a ride that can go in that theater instead of a different IP. I think that'd be cool as well. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It could be. It's all speculation, which is fun.
Yeah.
But again, I just want to focus really on Infinity Defense and that Stark test
I
ride.
think it's Stark Test Labs or something like that. I think that's
Yeah.
it. I wanted to ask you too. So since we can actually physically see in this concept art, a lot of people were skeptical about the name of the e-ticket attraction, Avengers Infinity Defense. Do you think that's a bad name, or do you think it's a good name? Where's your thoughts lie on that?
Um, I'm indifferent, honestly. I know it sounds like a cop out, but I'm indifferent. Like, I think that the name, like the movie Infinity War, sounds cooler than Infinity Defense. I think
Yeah,
I don't know, I think it, like, I guess you say Infinity Defense, it doesn't really sound like it meshes well together, Infinity Defense.
sure.
Um, but here's the thing. The name is the name. What I want to see, what really matters to me is the
Yeah,
queue and the actual ride itself.
yeah,
If that can execute, fuck what the name is. Like, it can be like infinity up my ass, right, or something. Like, I just want the ride to be good and to execute, and that's been my whole theme conductor is for the theme parks, for movies, anything.
Yeah.
If your execution of your product is amazing, people are gonna love it.
Oh, absolutely. And something. Well, there's that Star Clap. We'll get to that in a second. One thing I saw was that the ride vehicle, they actually had it at D23. You can actually, they had a scale model of it, then they had a video of the Imagineers putting it together and
I saw that, yeah.
what it looks like. And it's the same ride vehicle. Isn't it the same one that the Peter Pan attraction has in Tokyo? Or
Yeah, so it kind of looks like more like the Peter Pan ride, but the ride system feels like it feels and look like it's gonna be a mix between Peter Pan slash Spider Man slash Transformers, like
yeah,
that style of vehicle motion, right? Now the thing is like that. I'm not really worried per se about the attraction, but I'm like, okay, how much screens are we going to have in this thing, right? Because we know there's going to be screens. Is this thing going to be 3D? Like,
oh
I hope not, because I'm kind of tired of the 3D thing for both Disney and Universal. Like, I just want regular screen, right? Um, but I hope, because this is a Avengers ride, I want this thing to be pretty thrilling, right? Pretty action packed, pretty thrilling, to be fun.
yeah.
And
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, so I was gonna say, like, but I also hope, like, they also utilize some physical sets like we see in Peter Pan and even some of, like, Transformers, right? I've never been on Spider-Man guy, so I can't compare. But you have, like, some of those physical sets and props, and I would like to see a mixture between the two screens and props. But I want to have, like, a good story, thrilling action in this. Again, just something that a ride that's really, really fun, that's worthy of the name Avengers.
Oh yeah. See, I agree with you at this point. It this ride cannot be all screen based. If it's going to be all screen based, it's going to be a complete letdown.
Yeah.
Especially since we've been waiting for this Avengers E ticket since the land was even built. And then, again in 2019. We've been waiting so long, it would be a pure disappointment if it was all screen based. Now,
Mhm.
I want to be clear on some. I don't mind the screens, but
Yeah.
it needs to be a mixture between screens and practical sets. It needs to have animatronics. It needs to have actual sets that are not just a screen, but you can actually see. Kind of like, for example, you got like Pirates of the Caribbean, even Transformers to a point. There are certain scenes when the ride vehicle is moving, you actually do see practical sets like the steel and concrete. And obviously that's a cheap version of talking about it, but like Pirates, you got actual physical sets. So if it has that and screens, I'm completely down for it. No 3D though. I don't want to have to wear glasses. No
Yeah,
3D.
no, I'm really tired of having to put on glasses on top of my glasses, and then even that with a 3D, like, I feel like that. I'm not sure if it's my glasses or what, but I feel like that 3D is always just kind of like miscombobulated. It's just like doesn't look right, and then it's just kind of, I'm seeing blurs everywhere, and I'm like, okay, this is not really fun. So
No.
I just want, give me a regular screen. I'm fine with that. Regular screen for all the fight scenes and stuff like that. Give me good audio animatronics and set pieces for the more kind of still, slow parts, right? And yeah, I hope this is fun. But I'm happy that we finally got a name. Again, people want to complain about the name, dude. It's a name. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, there's bigger things in life to complain about than an attraction name, honestly.
Exactly. And again, I'm going to reference Tom Sawyer's Island, which we're going to get into in a little while. A lot of people are complaining about that. It's like, find something to really complain about. Get over it.
Exactly.
Seriously, get over it. The new attraction that none of us were expecting, Start
Yeah.
Flight Lab, and we saw a little clip from D23 because I was able to watch the live stream. I know, Disney forbidden it, and if you were caught, you were escorted out of the convention. But there were some people able to live stream the whole thing, and they were showing actually Bob Iger himself in one of these type vehicles with Robert Downey Jr. And from the news that we saw just weeks ago at Comic-Con, Robert Downey Jr., he's coming back to the Marvel Universe. Obviously, he's going to be playing the villain, which is Doctor Doom. But they also paid him, if I'm not mistaken, probably a ton of money to be part of this attraction, which
Mhm.
he's going to be reprising his role as Tony Stark, which is Iron Man. I want to ask you, Webba, because you're familiar with this ride system. You've actually seen it. You work at Legoland, and Legoland used to have a ride system like this. What's your opinion about this coming back to life after Legoland got rid of it?
So I just want to go real quick first back to this concept art here,
Sure.
because I'm kind of confused, and this will tie into the attraction at Legoland.
Sure.
Like, I'm confused because I'm looking at two different parts. I'm looking at a part, well, three different parts. The part
Yeah.
behind the people looks like empty vehicles, kind of like how you see in Harry Potter when it's on the conveyor belt and you
Yeah.
want it down. Then in the front, you got people sitting down, which looks like when you sit down in it and loading. But then you got people in the middle of both of those
Yeah.
on the ride. So I'm like, okay, is this thing going somewhere, or are we just flipping around on an arm? So that's
Yeah.
kind of my question. I'm not sure what this is really.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, it's fourth attraction. So yes, at Legoland a long time ago, when it first opened, they had an actual Kuka arm ride, which is actually surprising because you wouldn't think they would have such an which might not be to some people, but it's actually kind of an intense. It can be an intense attraction for people, right? If you're claustrophobic or if you don't like being upside down and stuff like that. But they had a ride like this at Legoland, but all it was it was just like a body of water, and there was like about maybe about 5 or 6 kuka arms like in like that were in from the water, and it would just kind of flip you and turn you around above the water. Kind of pretty much it. It didn't go anywhere. There was no story, nothing like that. It just did this, and you were just moving around, right? My concern with this attraction is it's going to be the same thing but just indoors. I hope not. I would hope that this would be something akin to like uh, a Forbidden Journey, except just on a two-seater. Um, but from the concept art, it doesn't look like that. But again, I can't tell because I don't know what's going on here. You have people loading on one side,
Yeah.
empty seats on the other side. Then you have a row in the middle of what looks like the loading station of 4 Kuko arms. So I don't know if it's moving them somewhere in the middle, or if they're just staying in the middle, flipping around. And I'll tell you this, if it's in the middle just flipping you around, that's gonna be kind of disappointing
Yeah.
because it's like you're not doing anything besides flipping around. And I'd rather actually it take me through like
Show scenes.
it show scenes, right? Through like a story or something,
Yeah.
than just sitting in one spot doing this.
Yeah.
What's your thought, conductor?
So I tend to agree with you. If it's going to just be like a giant, how can I put it, like a racetrack where you go in a big giant loop and your whole experience is just getting thrashed around by this robotic arm, and there's no scene to look at.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can see from the pictures they're not wearing 3D glasses, so I'm assuming. And again, I know assuming is a bad thing to do, but I'm going to assume at this moment that you're not going to need 3D glasses. But then on the other hand, how do you interact with Tony Stark, which is going to be the 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 main character of this attraction? You know, how are you going to interact with them if you can't see him? Are they going to have like big giant screens where you can see him, or like you said, are these Kuka arms going to go through like George and Hey Bricky like to call it Avengers hallways? But is there going to be some type of hallway where it's going to be like you're looking at practical sets, you're looking at screens? What's the concept here? Because when we're looking at this, like you said, it's very vague. You got obviously the main focal point people on the Kuka arms flying around. You got
Hmm.
people loading. You got empty seats, kind of like on a conveyor belt, like you're saying, like the Harry Potter attraction is. It again, it's very vague. It almost looks like there's like some type of tree or something up here. You got these, I would assume, some type of fuel cells or something high tech. It's just kind of odd.
Right, and then if you look at this concept art too, right? You look at the Kuga arm, right? Look
Yeah,
at the seats, and then look at the seats, and then look at the Kuga arm itself. It's like, okay, we know in Harry Potter Forbidden Journey, the Kuga arm is hiding behind that kind of silver mirror thing, right?
that's
It's in
yeah,
between. That's where the seat is.
yeah,
But this is like, where is the Kuga arm in relation to the ground? That's
yeah.
what that's what I don't. That's what I'm not understanding. Unless someone at home, we can point it out, but I don't see where that could be, and then how it gets into the middle of like the loading station. It looks like basically.
So,
So
just to now that I'm looking at it, and tell me if I'm wrong here. I kind of feel like the Kuka arms are like stationary. They don't move like the whole platform. It doesn't move. It's stationary. And like these things right here, because you can kind of see some type of track.
yeah,
Maybe these go in circles, and each arm will do like I don't know, like maybe a 20, 30, maybe 40 second, even maybe even a minute. Who knows? They'll grab the right vehicle and they'll thrash her around or do whatever it does, put it back
right.
down, and then grab the next one and go through another cycle.
Hmm.
Maybe these move in a big giant oval, but the Kuka arms stay in place.
Yeah, and then again, even if that's the case, conductor, I mean, that doesn't sound very
I know.
amazing. Like again, I mean, I think it's good that Disney is getting these different type of rides, like a Kuka arm, and then like the Monsters Inc. area, they'll get that suspended coaster. Right, that's great that they're getting more thrilling types of vehicles.
Yeah.
But if this going off this, if this is all that it is, you're in one little platform area just doing flight testing movements.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's not exciting to me.
No.
I want to be like taken through an adventure, like I'm in a flight suit testing it through show scenes or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what I think it should really be. Now, it could be that I don't know, but again, I'm just going off based off the concept art here, and what it's showing me is kind of confusing on how it's going to work, and then is it just going to be your stationary and just flipped around? And if you like that, that's great. I'm not saying you can't have fun, but coming from Disney, I expect more.
Yeah. Something that I'm looking at right now as it sits. So this is, the e-ticket attraction right here.
Hmm.
This is that Kuka arm attraction. This building alone looks humongous.
Hmm.
We could be taking this out of context
Right.
and saying that there is no show scenes, which me and you and everyone else is hoping there's show scenes. It would make sense. One of the things that happened at Avengers Campus just recently, prior to the Disney cast members almost going on strike, was the fact that a lot of the entertainment at Avengers Campus went away.
Yeah.
And the Doctor Strange show. But if you look in the center part here, it looks like that Doctor Strange show, it looks like it's still there. So it makes me wonder if they suspended it for a little while, if these two attractions that they're going to be adding on to Avengers Campus is not going to take over that spot, and we could still
Well,
have the Doctor Strange show.
the thing that's weird, right? Because it's like they said that these two attractions are going to double the land in size,
Yeah,
right? So, so to me that means they're expanding the land,
yeah,
right? So it's like, well, if they're going to expand the land, I don't think it's going to take over Doctor Strange, especially because you have a pathway there
yeah,
between the where the Quinjet building, the Avengers building is sitting, and into Cars Land.
yeah,
So I don't know. Again, they can restructure that, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to extend the land out back that way.
yeah,
Now the other thing to point out, conductor, you were talking about the show building there.
yeah,
That is true. However, again, going to this concept art, if you look at the top of the building, it looks like there's little slits,
Yeah.
and to me, that looks like there's a queue with like a which could be the flippy Kuka arm area. Now here's the thing: there's trees in the back. It could very well go back there or go through this purpley thing right here. Maybe I don't know. Um, whatever that's supposed to be. It looks cool. Don't know, but but yeah. So again, I'm not saying that I'm disappointed with what was announced. I'm
Yeah.
saying that my slight concern is all it's going to be is just a stationary Kuka arm. Now that could not, now it could be a case where it's a full in-depth attraction, which I would love. But I just wanted to throw it out there. I'm not hating on the ride. I'm not saying it sucks. I'm saying my slight concern with it, while I'm happy there's a fourth attraction, is that all it's going to be is, and hopefully not, a stationary Kuka arm.
Yeah, hopefully not. So
Hopefully not.
again, and we have to wait and see. Permits are already getting filed
Mhm.
for this expansion. Supposedly, from what I'm hearing, is that they are going to start construction in January of 2025. So we're
Okay.
only months away from seeing this.
Yeah.
My only concern, and I'm going to bring it up as well when I do a video with Orange Grove 55 and George, who were actually at the event, who actually watched this unfold live while Josh tomorrow was talking about it. One of the things is these two attractions, because right now, if you go to DCA, you go to an Avengers campus, there is a giant metal wall here. So none of
Yeah.
this exists yet.
Mhm.
So that's not in guest view. Okay. So it gets me to wonder why they haven't started it yet. Why wait until January? It's not like they have to, you know, uh, uh, they have to close off certain sections of the park in that area to build that. It's
Mhm.
completely backstage where they have all the privacy in the world to start building this. Why wait until January? You know,
I
that's
have so
yeah.
sorry,
Go
'cause
ahead.
I'll say I have one theory about that.
Sure,
I think it's because I could be wrong,
sure,
but I think it's because they have to clear everything out of that way first. And again, you're gonna have to probably redo maybe piping or electrical stuff that's back there. You have to. It's a whole logistical thing where you're gonna have to just redo everything back there. Now I don't know what's back there. Like it's backstage, but
sure.
I'm pretty sure there's some stuff they'll have to kind of get rid of, find a spots for, whatnot, what have you, right? And then start building on top of there and from scratch to
Yeah.
expand all the new stuff there.
Well, see, the other thing too is maybe they wanted to wait until D23 um to say, okay, we're you know no more blue sky. And I wanted to bring this up anyway. Josh tomorrow has been known, especially from the last D23, which was in 2022 or 2021, either one, I can't even remember, but it was a horrible D23. He came out, with other Imagineers and basically started with blue sky and what about this and what about that. There
Yeah.
was no concrete evidence. It really, really hurt a lot of fans. Now he came out, bat swing. He's like, and he made it clear, and I have a video clip of it. He said, "No, we're not doing any more. We're not doing any more blue sky. There is no more, imagining a what if. No, that each project that was announced at D23, there are already permits filed, earth moving. They're already in phases of starting construction. So, and he made a very bold statement as well. He said all these attractions, all of them, are going to be open in 5 years, all of them. And we're
Oh
talking
yeah.
we're talking Avatar, we're talking the two Avengers rides, we're talking Coco, which we're going to jump into next, They're talking about, obviously some infrastructure is going to happen at the Disneyland Resort as well. You're talking a lot of construction, and Disney. I'm not going to shy away from Universal, because Universal has their issues as well, but Disney has a bigger problem when it comes to constructing things. Look how
Yeah.
long it took Tron. Yes, COVID happened, but the theme park was empty. That was the perfect time for them, as Josh Tomorrow likes to say, turbocharge things. That was the perfect time for him to turbocharge that project. And Tron should have not taken that long, but it did. Obviously, the pandemic did not help. But if he's coming out saying to 10, I think it was 13,000 or 14,000 fans at the Honda Center for the Parks panel, saying, no, all this stuff is going to be open in 5 years. And no, there's not going to be any more blue sky nonsense. All this stuff is going to be open. What I want to ask you, is the Olympics, which I've talked to you about this before with
Mm-hmm.
Universal, because obviously Universal's building the Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift roller coaster, which is history in the making right there, because you're building a massive roller coaster in a theme park that's next to a movie studio. Then they're building an on-site hotel, and I'm sure they're going to build something else in for the Olympics. Okay, it makes me wonder, with all this going on with Disney, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Josh Tomorrow will tell the Imagineers, hey, you know what? The show up Universal, and again, it's not, the way I want to look at it is, it's not a pissing contest between both of them.
Right.
Obviously the competition's friendly. At the end of the day, they both get along. I'm sure they both talk to each other. They come up with ideas. They share ideas, whatnot. But do you think, with everything that was announced at D23, do you think that everything that we're looking at, that we've talked about for the Disneyland Resort out here in Anaheim, do you think that stuff will be turbocharged to be built first before Walt Disney World stuff, before Paris, Tokyo, all that stuff? I'm not saying Walt Disney World is not going to start construction like real soon with what they're having, but what I'm saying is the turbocharge factor is going to be more pointed towards the Disneyland Resort, knowing that the Olympics are going to be here in 2028, knowing that millions of people are going to flock to Southern California for the Olympics. You got countries from all over the world coming in to SoCal. Why wouldn't you turbocharge the Disneyland Resort projects before any other theme park?
I I have a perfect answer for you, man.
Perfect.
I think that Disneyland is just going to build it faster. Walt Disney World, for some reason, their park operations, for whatever reason, they're on the struggle bus of completing projects for whatever reason it is, in a good timing manner. Disneyland, they build and it's done,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they're pretty efficient. Are they fast as Universal Studios? No, but they're faster than Walt Disney World.
Yes.
And I think just for that reason alone, I think the park operation management is just a lot more efficient than Walt Disney World is at Disneyland than Walt Disney World. So I think just that on by itself, they're just going to be faster. Now I think they'll have projects going on at the same time. But I think for Disneyland, I mean Disney knows it's Olympics. Everybody knows Olympics is 2028.
Yeah.
But they do want to, and also of course remember too, Disneyland, they have that incentive to build
Oh,
quickly on the contingent with the city of Anaheim. What was it like? They get like it was like some $1 million, like they get credited back, or they don't have to pay or whatever if they build
yeah.
within, like, I think it's like the 9 year or like 10 year time frame. If they build a little quicker, someone put in the comments what it was, but if they built in that specific time frame, you know, they were able to save a little bit of money, you
Yeah.
know. So I think there's a good incentive for Disneyland as well with the city to build fast.
Absolutely. The next topic before we jump to Walt Disney World is the first ever Coco dark ride. I'm. It doesn't say dark ride, but I'm going to put dark ride in there.
Right.
First ever Coco dark ride announced, and it's coming to DCA.
Hmm.
First of all, how excited are you about this attraction coming to DCA?
Well, can you scroll down, please?
Yeah, of course.
Sorry, I just want to see the concept art because it's really beautiful. Uh, so you know what's funny is that Coco. Sorry to kind of go off, but Coco, I actually never saw the movie until this year.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
so
what?
it was great. It was a good movie, and songs were good, very colorful, and having this type of boat ride, I think is gonna be great for Coco, right? And I think like 'cause here's the thing, going on the whole boat ride thing, a lot of people are kind of not complaining, but like they're like, is there a lot of boat rides going on now with Disney, right? All the boat rides, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, but if you think about it, a lot of the IP kind of goes with for water, though, right? Boat
Yeah.
rides, and also if you think about it too, with the boat ride, you can make it a really long ride. Like
Oh,
Pirates
yeah.
is like 12 minutes, like so with the boat ride, you can make it a very long boat ride. Boats hold a lot of people. They're people eaters, you know. And on top of that, they can be a dark ride and a thrilling ride at the same time. So it's just it's a very it's a type of ride system, especially now with like the Shanghai system. It's a very good system to have. So, um, but yeah, no, I think it's very exciting. It's something of Pixar that we needed in DCA to go along with the Pixar area, or because we have a lot of Hispanic, Latin America, culture here in Southern California. So I
Yeah.
think something of that or being representative in DCA, fits perfectly. So I think this is great. Now where they're gonna put it, that's the other question. Is like, okay, is this going to be an expansion, or is it going to take over somewhere like? Because I've been telling OG and George like, I think not Pixar Pier, but where like Goofy Sky School is, and like that restaurant and like the Golden Zephyr and all that stuff. I think that whole area you can get rid of because it's just like a bunch of carnival rides, basically.
Yeah.
Like it's off the shelf rides. You can replace it with something a lot cooler. The thing is like that for an attraction though. Like, will a show building be big enough to fit there? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know like how big this ride is gonna be. But I'm very excited for it though. Like I'm always down for a cool new boat ride,
Absolutely.
especially with current modern technology. So it's just kind of trying to figure out where it's gonna go. Really.
Yeah. You
Here's the thing with that too, because it's Pixar, right? And I once mentioned this earlier with Pixar Place Hotel. If you have like another Pixar something area over here by the parking lot, now you have Pixar and Pixar connected again with Pixar Pier.
say that makes perfect sense. And just because you're building a water type E ticket attraction for Coco,
Hmm.
obviously they're not going to stop there with Coco. Coco's too big just to build a ride and say, "Oh no, we're done." No,
Yeah.
they're going to have meet and greets. They're going to have probably a restaurant, a quick service location, a gift shop, and whatnot. And I think like you're saying, this whole area here, I think would be absolutely perfect for it. Obviously, DCA is known for their food festivals with Lunar New Year, festival holidays. I
Food and
think
wine.
food and wine. I think they do one more, don't they? And there another one
Uh,
I'm thinking of?
I'm sure there is, but I
Yeah,
don't remember. There's a
but
lot.
yeah, there is a lot. But I know some of that does take over some of the spot, but there's other places they can move that. It's not something that they have to worry logistically about. If the way I look at it is if they're gonna build a Coco Dark ride and it's gonna be a water based attraction and it's gonna be an e-ticket attraction,
Yeah.
hell, move all those temporary booths somewhere else in DCA. There's plenty of spots where they could put that stuff.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. And I think again, Coco is such a popular Pixar, fan favorite, and finally they're bringing it here to DCA, for it fits. Because here's the thing, like DCA is very Pixar heavy, right? I mean, and that's where it should go. It should go in DCA. Now, here's the thing: if they had announced it for Disneyland, I would have more of an issue with that. I
Yeah,
it definitely fits more in DCA. Again, California, but it's weird because now we have Avatar, but it's like how is that California, right? But it's been a whole branding problem with California Adventure. Which back to the Country Bear thing, I was the proponent of, and still am. Make that entire area just bear, like a bear area, right? You can call it bear country or something, and have bring back country bears, and then turn Soren, keep the same ride system, but turn Soren into like Tailspin for an IP. If you want an IP, make it Tailspin. There you go.
exactly. And it's something where they can reskin it, but you still use the same rice system. So
Yeah,
like they're
exactly.
spending a ton of money.
Yeah, and you got bears, so it all fits. Because planes, because it's planes, so.
Yeah. So, let me ask you this: your closing thoughts for Disneyland before we jump to Walt Disney World. Are you excited? Is there any concerns you may or may not have? What do you
Oh,
think about all of it?
well, there's one more we did not cover.
Oh, what's that?
That is the first ever audio animatronic of Walt Disney in
Oh,
the great moments of Mr. Lincoln.
okay. Let me go to that real quick. Let me see if I can find that because I'm on this. Let me see. I think it's somewhere. I just gotta find it. Um, because
Oh, and then of course too, like, what's your thoughts on getting like the new Mandalorian Grogu uh
oh,
show scenes for Millennium Falcon?
okay, let's talk about that for just a brief second. So my thoughts are, why did it take so long? That I have to throw it out there. I have to.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited. You know,
Hmm.
I I love the Mandalorian. I love Peter Pescadero playing the Mandalorian. The fact that him and Grogu have such a bond in the series, in the TV series, is just absolutely incredible. The fact that they're actually going to get a movie based off this is absolutely incredible. I am beyond excited. Now, the throw a how can I put it? Throw a monkey wrench in there, because we talked about earlier how Disneyland and Walt Disney World have the same attraction.
Hmm.
Okay, you have multiple Star Wars shows. Okay, on Disney Plus. Instead of the Mandalorian coming to Walt Disney World, obviously Disneyland's getting it first. It would be kind of interesting if they can come up with another series that they can provide for Walt Disney World's version. Maybe something like the Skeleton Crew, or one of the other Star Wars shows that are semi popular. And then have it there for a while, and then do a trade off where the Mandalorian goes to Walt Disney World, and then vice
Yeah.
versa. We get, I think that's fair. But what I think is going to happen is we're going to have the Mandalorian Grogu here in the Disneyland Resort at Galaxy's Edge, and we're also going to have it in Walt Disney World. So it's going to be another carbon copy.
So to respond to that, I think I know why.
Okay.
One thing is that yes, the carbon copies, right? Um, One, I think it's because, like, to your first question, when you ask, why it takes so long,
Yeah.
because see, they're announcing this for Mandalorian and Grogu. They could have picked anything in Star Wars to do this with,
Yeah.
but now they waited to do Mandalorian and Grogu after it's already become popular for the past like 3 years,
Yeah.
right? And then now because you're doing Mandalorian and Grogu, all the normies are going to want to see Grogu. Well,
Oh yeah.
both of them, but especially Grogu, because look how cute that he is, right?
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, like both people who live in both coasts are going to want to see Grogu and Mandalorian. So it's like now they picked a popular two characters, but now they're kind of stuck with it because they're too popular. They take them away. Like people are like, well, I want to see Mandalorian and Grogu,
Yeah.
right? So I think what they should have done before was pick something already existing in the Star Wars universe and have two different scenarios on both coasts of something that people would enjoy equally as much, right? And the other thing is, like, I hope when we get this new mission, I really hope that they upgrade the graphics on this ride, because the graphics looks very. I mean, it's. I mean, I'm sorry to say, but it looks even worse than some video games. Like, again, I know it's a ride, but like Star Tours looks better than what's on this ride, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Star
Uh,
Wars has been around for how long now?
right. And then not only that, but also too, we also got Mandalorian Grogu on Star Tours as well.
Yeah.
I mean, s- so it's like, it's cool. I'm glad we're getting a new mission because the same one, I mean, it was okay, not too terribly interesting. So I hope we get more of that one that's more interesting with this Mandalorian Grogu. But yeah, now they're kind of stuck with the two characters because it's so popular.
Oh, without a doubt. So it's just a wait and see. And yeah, again, I I totally agree with you 100%. They need to update the graphics. They need to. I don't care if they use. Now that I think about it, I don't care if they use Mandalorian on both the West Coast and East Coast version of this ride, but have two different storylines
Oh
where
yeah, see, there you go.
exactly the same. Have it different, and I'm sure that's more than possible to do. Hell,
Oh, very.
they're coming out with the Mandalorian Grogu movie. You can't tell me it's not impossible to do that. There's no
Yeah,
way.
I mean, you got three different adventures. One movie is one adventure. Both coasts are two different adventures. There you go. Right?
Exactly. So again, it interprets people that live out here in SoCal. Oh, whoa! I can only go see that at Walt Disney World. I gotta plan a vacation and go out there, or
Yeah.
vice versa. I live in Florida. Wow, the Disneyland Resort, their version has this. I gotta go see it. You know,
hmm
so it's gonna entice people to do that. You
Yeah,
know,
and I'm gonna say too. I don't think they can. I don't think they're going to. But
yeah,
there has to be something better with the infrastructure or their operations of the attraction itself. Like, I mean, I've gone in many times to like where I'm engineer. It's very easy for me to just "Teet, teet, 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 teet," and just continue watching, right? Like most of my time spent watching because I know what to do. It's not that hard. Or if you're gunner, you just hold. If you have it on auto, you just hold the button. Pew 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 pew. Right. Um. But again, like that's not engaging to me. What I want to do, I just want to sit on my lazy ass. Sorry for my language. I just want to sit on my lazy ass and enjoy the attraction. Right.
exactly,
So.
exactly.
But anyways, yeah, that's
But we're gonna jump into if they'll load for me. Let me see. Yeah, there it goes. Um, I don't know if this article will talk about it, but we're gonna talk about it. Um, so the Walt animatronic.
hmm
Okay, this is going into the Lincoln Theater on Main Street.
yes.
The Moments with Mr. Lincoln. It's been closed for a couple months now. I think about 4 or 5 months, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of people were speculating, well, maybe they're taking the Disney 100 stuff out. I'm sure they already did that by now. It doesn't take forever to take that stuff out. But
No.
now we got news about the Walt Disney animatronic. Obviously, you can see here in this one little small photo they have, which is kind of ridiculous. But um, obviously, there's going to be a segment, or it's going to be an entire show about Walt Disney, about him explaining, how he came up with the concept of Disney, how he, I'm sure there's going to be a whole storyline. I could spend a whole hour talking about it, but there's a whole storyline that this animatronic can talk about. Obviously, he's going to have, him talking to the audience. He has a little miniature stage of his actual office that sits at Burbank at the Walt Disney Studios, the animation studios. Um, what you're thinking about this? Because obviously, I did hear too, and keep this in mind. This show is going to be running for a little while, but it's not going away permanently. It's going to be going back and forth between Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln and this show. So it's going to do a trade off.
Right. So, conductor, I have to use the restroom. I know we're recording, so if you're able to cut this out, there. So I'll come back and answer. Like I never left, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, go for
One
it.
sec. Sorry, bro.
Oh, you're good. You're good. So while Mr. Webb is doing that, I'm going to talk a little bit myself. Uh, I'm gonna talk a little bit myself. Is the fact that we have a Walt animatronic, right? We have that going on, and it's very exciting. It's a very exciting time for us, as theme park fans, to sit there and watch modern technology and to have this Walt animatronic built, and he's going to be speaking to the guests of Disneyland and to explain how he all got started, the good times, the bad times. I'm sure that's going to come up. Him showing concept ideas for the Disneyland Resort, possibly even Walt Disney World, who knows. It's just absolutely stunning. I'm sorry, but you know what? I know a lot of people are skeptical about it. I did read a post from Twitter. I don't know how true that is. A post from Twitter, stating that I was just saying, Mr. Webba, that there was a Twitter post this afternoon, because I literally got home from work and I'm looking on my Twitter. Apparently, there's a rumor going around that the Walt Disney family, so his immediate family, they
Mm.
are not happy about this animatronic. I didn't really read into it too much. Um, but do you think that's true, or do you think that it's a positive thing? If anything, if anything, if I was Walt's immediate family, let's say I'm a grandson, a great grandson, and I get to go to Disneyland, and I
Yeah.
get to go see my great uncle talk about the struggles he had, but the positive outcome that became the Disney company, the Walt Disney Company, with everything it stands for, everything it's accomplished since the very beginning when him and Roy started the company way back in the I want to say in the 50s. You would think they want this animatronic to represent their family, but do you honestly believe that that's a rumor going around right now, that the Walt Disney's immediate family really hates the idea of the animatronic, or what do you think about that?
Um. So I think so. It's a rumor.
Yeah,
Rumors can be. I don't think so. I mean, because otherwise, if you're mad about having someone as big as Walt Disney being represented as something that he pretty much pioneered, you
sure.
know, it's like that is crazy if you are mad about that too. Like
Yeah,
I can't see why anybody in their right mind would be upset about that. Like I think it's absolutely amazing. I do it really comes full circle, right?
yeah.
And to your other question about what I think of this, I think this is awesome. It's great because here's the thing is that especially Disney like they're really good at like bringing in new stuff, like again, bringing this to Great Moments of Mr. Lincoln. And why, while some people go in there, it's not like a hot spot where people all flood there. But watch, once this premieres, that
Oh,
area is going to be popping, dude. Like it's going to
oh,
be so busy than you have seen it in the last like 20 years.
oh,
And
yeah,
it's going to be great. And it's great because instead of like ripping out Great Moments of Mr. Lincoln, because like, oh, it's not doing well, we should take it out, put something else there. They're adding to it.
yeah.
And what better thing to do than add the man himself who really looked up to and admired President Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, absolutely. And not to mention, he had a hand in bringing the moments of Mr. Lincoln to the Disneyland Resort. So, again, this is one of those things with the Disneyland Resort compared to Walt Disney World. Sorry to say it, is that this is one of those things where instead of, like you said, ripping the whole attraction out and putting something IP based that's, you know, God knows what it could be, they decide to revamp it. They decide to add Walt himself, the man, the goat, the legend. I could go on. Talk
The,
about
the
you know
man, the myth, the legend.
exactly right. talking about his life, talking about how he brought the Disney company from where it began to now. It's just it's a special treat.
It,
It's something where we all as fans get to actually see him, even though it's not like actually him, but a representation of him.
Mhm.
Because I've seen early videos of Walt Disney himself walking up and down Main Street, greeting guests, saying hi, taking pictures, signing autographs with guests that come into the theme park. So, what better way to bring him back to life in a way?
Yeah, no, exactly. And also, here's another cool thing too is that I've heard, again, I don't know for sure. I haven't looked any of this up, but I've heard that this is one of their most advanced, highly technical audio animatronics. And here's the thing, it has to be. It has to be like this thing has to be perfect. Like he cannot look weird, he cannot look awkward, he cannot look not real with but kind of real but not real at the same time. He has to look like he's actually there. And the thing that is great about this too, again, is that since they're keeping Great Most of Mr. Lincoln there, and then adding the show, they're adding more history in in the park, right? So that's super cool because you're still having this kind of history lesson in Disneyland, right?
Yeah,
And it's super cool, and this is going to attract a lot of people. Is especially a lot of theme park enthusiasts and like people who love animatronics, but to see the man himself, it's going to be amazing. And again, it's something a new additional to that area already to have it switch off. It's going to be great because here's the thing, because now you have two different options, and when you go in you might not know which one you'll get.
exactly.
So
So
and I think that will be also another that was also a smart thing to do because now you have repeatability, and people are going to want to come to see a certain thing, like, oh well, maybe we might get Walt or Lincoln. Let's see which one we get. Or, oh man, I got Lincoln this time, I want to see Walt next time, right? And so you have to people repeat coming back to get what they want to see.
exactly. And as we can read on the screen, this new addition to the great moments of Mr. Lincoln is going to be debuting in 2025. I'm
Woo.
assuming I'm assuming once they have an actual concrete date,
Yeah.
the park reservations are going to be instantly, because you have to imagine they're going to have Walt Disney's immediate family there. You
Oh,
have to imagine they're going to have that. They're going to have Josh Tomorrow there. They're going to have Bob Iger there. A lot of the Disney execs, they're all going to be there. The grand opening of this, so it's going to be a very special time for the Disneyland Resort, Walt's immediate family, and the Disney company in general. So I cannot wait to see this. I cannot wait to actually see this animatronic. It is absolutely going to be absolutely incredible. Um, but we're going to jump to Walt Disney World, and we're going to talk about the big elephant in the room. We're going to talk about Tom Sawyer's Island. So we're going to jump into that real quick. Well, it's not going to be real quick. It's going to be a sore subject, but
dun dun dun.
exactly. Um, let me see if I could pull it up here. If they oh, here it is. Okay. So so it says the new details revealed for the largest expansion at Magic Kingdom, and they quote this. This is going to be the biggest expansion ever for the Magic Kingdom whatsoever. This area here is going to be a version of Cars Land. So it's not going to be Radiator Springs, but it's going to be a version of it. But it's
Right.
not going to be a carbon copy of it. Currently, what this concept is showing, this is where Tom Sawyer's Island at the Magic Kingdom currently sits right now.
Hmm.
Obviously, you can see, and it's very hard to see. You got some snowy mountains. You got some type of D attraction here. So the land's going to have two attractions in it. Obviously, it's going to have a kiddie attraction. It seems like, and it's going to have a e-ticket attraction, which is kind of like this dirt looking attraction. I think they have another picture of it. Let me see. Oh, maybe not.
Yeah, yeah. It's like that off-roading type of Jeep
Yeah,
style looking thing.
yeah. It's very off road, so it's not what we have out here in DCA. First of all, what are your thoughts about Cars Land coming to this area? Do you are you happy that it's not a carbon copy of Radiator Springs out here at DCA? And what are your thoughts about it taking over Tom Sawyer's Island?
Oh man, you asking for the can of worms to open, huh, conductor? All right. Oh, I guess I'm about to get blasted on social media here, but it's all right. Well, uh, okay. Well, I guess we'll just dive into it. Well, first of all, let me start with my concern real quick. My
Okay.
concern is that, like with Radiator Springs Racers, our ride, a lot of that is a indoor show building attraction, right? With the racing part being outside. From this, it looks like there's not really a show building. A lot of it is outside,
Yeah.
right? My kind of concern is with the weather, how it is in Florida, where it will just rain randomly or the hurricanes. It's like I'm just kind of like thinking, how often will this ride get closed
Yeah.
down because of the weather? But the attraction itself, I'm actually, okay. So Rivers of America, right? That's going away. I know a lot of people are upset. Um, but here's the thing though: are the normies going to be upset about this? A lot of the hardcore fans are upset now because you're taking all this away. But here's the thing though: unlike Disneyland, they don't have Fantasmic to kind of anchor their Thomas Sowers Island. We
Yeah.
do. I mean, hell, even our Thomas Sowers Island got kind of changed when Pirates was a big deal, and we got that Pirates layer thing going on there,
Yeah.
right? Um, but I mean, guys, look, you kind of had to give and take, right? I mean, everybody keeps clamoring for they want this, they want that, but then, when it comes time to get it and then you get what you want, then it's like, oh, well, we don't want this. Well, how often were people going to Tom Sawyer's Island anyway? I mean, at Disneyland, yeah, people go there, but it's not like it's a hot thing over here or something.
Yeah.
Um, it's like, but again, here at Disneyland, it's more preserved because it's the history and then just how integrated it is with Fantasmic, the riverboats, the canoes, all that stuff. Um, and yeah, I think Cars Land, like it's weird because you have a Pixar IP going there. I do think that is kind of odd for the placement of a Pixar IP like Cars going in like a castle park, so to speak. I know, like we have Buzz Lightyear Astro Blaster. It's a Pixar ride. But it's like a ride of that magnitude for attraction of a land that's Pixar seems kind of out of place for a Castle Park. Like usually when I think Castle Park, I think more like Walt Disney Animation IPs in the
Yeah.
park. But whatever. I think having two attractions is going to be great. One's like a good, kind of thrill ride there that's kind of similar to like Radiator Springs Racers, but it's outside. It's a different concept. Then you have another you have like another little attraction. What I like is that it's not a carbon copy paste from California, right? Because
Yeah.
again, like Pandora, we don't want the same exact thing. We want
No.
something different. Like this is different, right? Like the only resemblance I see here is cars that are racing, which makes sense because it's cars, and then you have Lightning McQueen and Mater at the end, like how we do here. But this is more like outdoors off-roading type of thing, and which looks very fun, by the way. You
Oh yeah.
know, and I like that it's like a different type of environment, So it's cars, different environment, but same racing concept to be fun. And I think it's going to be great. And what we've seen, what Walt Disney has been, like the Imagineers have been building now with current lands, I can imagine this is going to be really amazing.
Oh, without a doubt. And again, I want to try to ease the tension with a lot of people that might, they might blast me too. They're blasting. I don't care who you are. If you're a content creator and you're on YouTube, you're on Twitter, you're on Instagram, Snapchat, whatever, and you're talking about this subject, is again, it's a very sore subject. It's a very open wound subject. So people are going to attack no matter what. And it's kind of sad that we have to go through that. But
Yeah.
um, one thing I will say is compared to our Tom Sawyer's Island, like you said, our version out here in Disneyland in California is the fact that we have Fantasmic to our Tom Sawyer's Island. The fact that we have history with our version of Tom Sawyer's Island. Apparently, when the island was built, again, Walt Disney himself had a creation. He actually had hands putting that together. First of all, second of all, from what I understand, he had a lot of parties on that island. You know, private parties, obviously, but parties nevertheless. You know, he has connection to that island compared to the Magic Kingdom version, which was built in the, I want to say, in the mid 70s, late 70s, somewhere around there, which has no connection to Walt Disney himself. That's why I think our version, minus Fantasmic, but our version is here to stay for probably another couple decades. Who knows? But it's not going away anytime soon compared to Walt Disney World's version, which is now getting replaced with the version of Cars Land. And a lot of people have said, well, Walt Disney World has all this land. Why take away something that people semi enjoy? And to ease everyone's tension, there are some people that are going to clam onto it and say, oh no, why are you going to take it away? It's a great relaxing island where people can go on a picnic, kind of just relax, get away from the main crowds, just kind of just take time for yourself, enjoy it, enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy the animal life, whether it's birds or whatever, but just the mere fact of kind of just relaxing,
Yeah.
compared to some people are like, oh, whoa, we're getting a Cars Land. I don't care where the hell you put it. Put it right here then. We're getting a Cars Land. Hooray. So you got those type of different people. I get it, and with them ripping out Tom Sawyer's Island, they're also getting rid of their version of the oh god, I'm
Mark
losing my
Twain.
train. The Mark Twain, their version of the Mark Twain. So they're also losing that as well. So it makes me wonder what they're going to do with that. That's a whole separate issue. Are they going to, maybe keep it off property somewhere? Are they going to donate it? Are they going to bring it out here to the Disneyland Resort and maybe keep it as a homage to what Walt Disney World had? Who knows? But the fact that they're getting the Cars Land, it's not a carbon copy of the version we have in DCA. People should be happy about that. I can see people outraged, and don't get me wrong, I could see them outraged completely 100% if they were getting the exact carbon copy that we have out here at DCA.
Yeah, or also too, I can see people being outraged if they were taking away Disneyland's Tom Sawyer's Island.
Yes.
I could see that being
Oh,
like not going well at all.
oh, yeah. Oh my God.
And,
They better be ready for the fight of their life if that happens.
yeah, and here's the thing too is like that. Okay, I understand that there are going to be people out there who genuinely do enjoy Thomas Sawyer's Island in Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom, right? There are right. There's going to be people who enjoy it, right? And that's great. And and of course, their feelings are valid. They can be mad about it going away, of course. But then a lot of people who are complaining about it go away. Like, really, how many of them really go to Thomas Sawyer's Island on a constant basis? And then I hear the argument, oh, but the aesthetic, like the nature of it, the aesthetics is great. True, but does that not? But are you now? I'm not saying you are, but are people discounting how beautiful and naturey, um, despite it being kind of a desert theme, that they're going to make this new Cars area look? It could be well as magnificent.
Yeah, because
And on top of that, that's going to probably lead right into Villains Land, which we'll
yeah,
talk about next.
yeah,
But it's like, you have all this area to work with, use it. And then the other argument is like, I get the argument that, hey, we have space, use it. I get that, right? Walt Disney World has a lot of space, extend it to add capacity, right? Um, but also, if you look at the river, there could be a lot more bodies in the spots where the river in that body of water is, but it's just water. So if you replace that with land, you can add capacity to there, right? I think. Um, Now, with that being said as well, is that yes, while you could add onto other like extend and add capacity that way, my other argument is that well, if something is not really working out to be the greatest thing,
Yeah,
replace it with something better, something more that more people, more normies will go and enjoy.
exactly.
And I think this was a good call. Now, is it going to fit really? Because this area for like Walt Disney World is kind of weird area because they have like the whole Tiana's thing going on with the Frontierland. So it's kind of like all of this kind of weirdness going on with it. But I think yeah, I am like sad for the people who are really genuinely sad who do go there often.
Sure,
So I don't want to discount them or discredit them. But a lot of the other people were just complaining that to complain that you're taking something away. Like guys, this is Walt Disney World. We also have to remember too, like that this Magic Kingdom, in my opinion, like for the most part, Disneyland Park. If you compare the two, Disneyland Park is the better park. Like,
yeah,
if you look at anything that's a carbon copy, Disneyland for the most part has the better version of it. It has a
yeah,
better Space Mountain. It has we have a Toontown. We still have a Mr. Toad, which they don't have anymore. You
yeah,
know, we have our Fantasmic is on Rivers of America there, right? Tom Sawyer's Island. Our Pirates of the Caribbean is better. We have an Indiana Jones ride in the Disneyland Park.
yeah,
So, we have all these type, and our Fantasyland is, I've heard, is a lot better as well because theirs is kind of this jumble mess of a theme.
yeah,
Um, so it's like we have a lot of stuff that the counterpart is just better itself. So I think Magic Kingdom, and I've heard from a lot of people, not just from OG, not just from George, but from a lot of people who I know who've been to Magic Kingdom, who are like, it was all right, but Disneyland's better. It's the better park.
yeah,
It's like it's basically the same, but ours is better. Theirs is big, but I mean, it doesn't feel the same either.
no,
And so this is great because it's really going to make a difference and a heavy hitter for Magic Kingdom that is going to have more a differentiate. I can't say it. Make it different from Disneyland, right?
exactly.
So because you don't want the same type of experiences at
No,
both places.
no, and that's again, if they do something, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't Walt Disney World, don't they have Avengers Campus? They got it right, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I don't think so. I think it was Disneyland, Paris, and China.
Oh wow, so they don't even have Avengers Campus in any of their parks.
I don't
Which,
believe so. No.
wow. Okay, so again, it speaks to volume. You
Yeah,
know,
they have a Guardians coaster ride at Epcot.
yeah, Cosmic Rewind.
Cosmic
Yeah,
Road, yeah.
yeah. So again, I'm not opposed to this idea either. They're taking something out that was, yeah, yeah, it was a great hangout spot. It was, it was great for its time. Like OG and George said, definitely check out Orange Grove 55's channel. He's going to be doing a lot of amazing videos from D23 talking about all the news and whatnot. But the
Mhm.
video he did this morning, you can check it out now. Him and George were talking about compared to Resort, where Walt Disney himself had a lot of hands-on creation of certain areas of that park. Walt Disney World itself, they don't have that life of luxury. Obviously, Walt Disney himself, he did touch some areas, and you know, he had some ways of dealing with with Walt Disney World, but not like he did with Disneyland Resort. They're you can't compare the two. So the homage is way different from the Disneyland Resort to Walt Disney World. So I agree, Tom Sawyer's Island. It's time for it to go, but
Yeah.
I don't think, and I say this on every single video at the end, whether I have a guest with me or it's just me. Everyone needs to be respectful. attacking people, attacking, and I'm not talking about physically attacking, I'm talking like verbal attacking on Twitter, on social medias, text messages, emails, whatever it might be, or even saying it to the person's face. No one has the right to sit there and attack people for stuff like this. Now,
Right.
everyone has every single right to have an opinion. Everyone has that right, but make it respectful. If you can't make it respectful, keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
Don't sit there and spread your negativity across the playing field. That's not right. It's not right
Yeah.
to yourself. It's not right to people around you, and it's not right to possibly the person you're trying to attack. So don't do that.
Yeah.
It's not respectful whatsoever. Um,
Exactly. People be
but
nice on the internet.
yeah,
But real quick, the thing I want to say, the thing that does suck about this though, and this
yes,
goes for this and Villains Land, is that because of this, right? They're going to have to shut down the railroad again.
yes, they are. Because as you can see right here, this is the railroad right here, and
Yeah.
it's coming all the way back through. Yeah, the railroad's gonna have to go down, just like our railroad right now. It's down. It's not because of theme park expansion yet. It's due to they're replacing sections of the track at a time. So right now they're replacing the track where the entrance to Mickey's Toontown is and where
Mm.
Small World's at. That section of the track they are removing the track and replacing it with new track. So our train station is going to be down, and the way they're working our train station is it'll be closed for 3 months. They'll work on a section, then they'll open it for 3 months or 9 months, whatever, and then close it again. But Walt Disney World's version, they might close it for years. We're talking years.
And that's the thing though, is like that, they already had those closed for like 2 years or something, right? Like before. And it's like, man, it's going down again.
Yeah,
Oh, dude,
that's
that's tough, dude. That's tough, man.
that's rough.
Oh,
That is so rough. I can't even tell you how rough that is.
oh, dude. Oh
Horrible.
man.
But with the last land we're going to talk about Villains Land because obviously,
Woo!
oh yeah, Webba's excited. I'm excited. Obviously, Epic Universe, Universal, they are debuting their park in 2025. It is going to have a version of a Villains Land, but they call it a Dark Universe. It's going to be based off the Universal monsters, Frankenstein, Dracula, Bride of Frankenstein, you name it, Wolfman, the Mummy. The list goes on and on and on. Um, First of all, I want to get your reaction. I'm pretty sure I know what it is. How do you feel about Villains Land officially coming now? Now it's not a blue sky thought. It's officially going to happen.
I'm gonna say, finally something that the fans have been begging for on their knees and like asking for with blood, sweat, and tears. It's finally coming, right? And it's coming to the right spot. Castle Park, Magic Kingdom, right? That's where it should go. And let me tell you, dude, I know it's concept art, but this concept art looks freaking wicked, man. Like
Yeah.
it is what I would expect a villain's land to like look like, right? Conceptually, right? It looks really good. It's dark, the architectural is design is really good, the rock work. It's great. And I don't know why it took them so long. Maybe it's because, and maybe like going back to like some of the other lands, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Imagineering, because because stuff like this, right? They have to think on it and build on it for years, right? So maybe they've been already thinking about this like maybe like 10 years ago, and maybe it's like they're waiting for the right time for technology to catch up so they can put awesome special effects, audio animatronics, stuff to give you that more of illusion that you're to be more immersed into the land, right? So maybe that's what it is. And maybe for villains, it's just been kind of hard because also here's my thing too, right? I was asking George, I was like, okay, great, you want a villains land, that's cool and all, but then for your attractions, like what type of stories are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Right? Like, because you're in Villains Land, what's the like if you have a dark ride, what's the dark ride story gonna be like? I'm not saying you can't have one. I just don't know how you do that because all the villains are tied to the hero story. So I'm like, so like what do you do? But someone said like that there's supposed to be like a coaster somewhere in the
So,
background here
okay,
somewhere.
so right here, you can see remnants of it up in the left-hand corner. I don't know where, obviously you're going to enter this coaster. Then you got down here in the waterfall
Oh,
area, like part of the coaster as well.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, yeah. George and OG pointed it out. Actually, I think even Mondo from Five Fires, he was looking at it, he's like, "What in the hell?" And then, yeah. So it's going to start from way up in the left hand corner, and then it's going to go down in the water, in the waterfall area. And get this too. I don't know if you see this, Webba. I'm looking at this right now, and this got pointed out. Do you see this right here? Look at
I
this.
see.
Look at
I
this dragon, dude. With the
that looks like Maleficent's dragon, man, spewing out fire.
dude, dude, I'm so stoked for this. This looks freaking amazing. You have all this green fog around him and all that. Holy
Hmm.
cow, dude.
And I love the castle in the back.
Oh, dude, it looks wicked. It looks so wicked, dude. And it almost looks like they're using the same type of architect, like with the rock work that you would see, that we talked about with the Avatar land coming to DCA and California. You also see it from Radiator Springs and DCA as well for Cars Land. You can see the rock formation and all that, and it's really a stunning thing. I wanted to ask you, because most of these lands are going to have two attractions that are coming in the future. Do
Uh-huh.
you think, to envelop a lot of the Disney villains, that they'll probably have some type of indoor dark ride that's going to incorporate most of the dark Disney villains? Or do you think it's going to be sprawled out between the coaster, which we can obviously see, and possibly the dark ride, which we don't have confirmation on yet?
I would love to see a dark ride, honestly, like a dark ride with like very advanced audio and animatronics of whichever villains you're going to use, because I know in Epic Universe for Dark Universe, their main attraction, right, in that castle, I think they're going to have like their most advanced, like audio animatronics, and they said like that ride's going to be scary or something. But which it sounds cool though. So I wonder if we'll get something similar to that here, but just it's Disney villains. And what I like about this was that it's like this looks scary, right? Like it's not like this cutesy villain, like oh look, we're villains, yeah, we're cute and adorable, right? No, like you want it to be spooky, right? Like actually spooky, creepy. And this has to look going for it. So I hope the second attraction is an indoor dark ride attraction, because we have a coaster, which thrills, scares. There you go. um but I don't want like a simulator.
No.
I don't want a 3D show. I want like a nice dark ride
Yeah.
for this. And I want to ask you, do you think, conductor, right, because we know what Disneyland Forward, right?
Yeah.
Well, sorry, not Disneyland Forward, yeah, Disneyland Forward, but for Disney World though, like do you know if they have the same height, like do you know what their height limit is for, like, let's say Magic Kingdom, right? Because I know here in Disneyland they had to ask for higher like
Yeah.
height limits to build higher because that castle walkwork. I mean,
Yeah.
look at the dragon and the coaster. Like, look how high that thing is.
Yeah.
That
You
thing's
know,
huge.
I kind of feel that they don't. Only reason is because they're not. How can I put it? Magic Kingdom is not surrounded by housing developments. It's
Yeah,
kind of like in the middle of nowhere to a point. Obviously, there's stuff around it, but not like Disneyland where it's landlocked and you got literally businesses and housing tracts surrounding it. So I don't think the height limitations um, for Villains Land and Magic Kingdom is going to have a height limit. Obviously, they might, you know, only reason being because of structural. They have to make the buildings, especially like that castle, like you pointed out, it's very tall, but they have to make it structurally sound because, like you said earlier with Cars Land, with the e-ticket attraction possibly being outdoors mostly. I'm sure it's going to have some indoor parts as well. Weather out there, I'm just going to put sucks. They go through God knows heat. They go through heat, which sucks. They go
Yeah.
through tornadoes, hurricanes, all that. Well, not tornadoes, but hurricanes. They go through all sorts of brutal weather. So I can imagine that if they are going to make that castle as tall as it's looking in this concept art, they really have to build that thing like above and beyond structurally sound, because you
Well,
don't want that thing falling. That'll be
exactly.
a real villain's crime.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Now, so speaking of weather, though, this park will do really well in like rain and nighttime
Oh,
because it gives it more of that spooky kind ofness, right?
God.
Um, but I'm wondering though, like, let's say they actually make that castle, right?
Sure.
What do you think should go in there? The dark ride, kind of like where like Hogwarts is like the dark ride inside, or do you think they should have like a restaurant in there?
You know what? To tell you the God honest truth, and I'm going to be really honest with you. I think a restaurant
A
that
restaurant.
overlooks the whole land.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, because if you could see here, I don't know. Yeah, if you could see here, there's some more kind of like buildings and
Hmm.
castle looking. You have it here, and you have it kind of here. I'm kind of thinking if they have another ride and it just happens to be a dark ride, it's going to be in this area here. That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking. But this up here, the castle itself, I would like to see it be a restaurant. That way it's overlooking the whole land and you get talk about the ultimate experience. I think there's a restaurant at Walt Disney World. It's called Spaceship 220 or some like that, where it shows that you're in this restaurant, but you're going in the Earth's atmosphere, and you're
Yeah.
like above Earth, and you're eating, and they have all these window panels, and obviously it's all like screen based, but you're looking at the stars, you're looking at different planets. But imagine sitting at this castle, and I don't know, let's say I don't know that castle's probably God, probably I'm going to go close to 1,000 feet in there. I'm just going to be hypothetical, and you're overlooking the whole land. You're seeing people enjoy themselves. You're seeing characters walk around. You're seeing the roller coaster. You're seeing the dragon shoot out his green smoky fire breath. You can't tell me that wouldn't be a perfect spot for a restaurant. There's no way.
Or I mean, you could even do a restaurant and like a walkthrough attraction,
Oh yeah.
probably. Because look at the size of that castle on that rock, and like, and that looks like I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, people, but it looks like Maleficent's like fortress castle, right?
Oh
Because
yeah.
of the bridge. But it looks like you could have a restaurant in there and like have like a walkthrough area in there as well with some character meet and greets and stuff. Now my question is, what that how do you get down? you know,
Exactly.
you just jump off. Whee!
Yeah, exactly. Maybe catch a magnificent flying by and jump on his back.
Yeah, yeah, right. Like, hey, yo, I need a ride.
Exactly.
Oh,
Uh, but yeah, they're again, if they're gonna make that castle that big, they're gonna have to do some major structural, elements to it, kind of like what they did with because I watched the documentary a while back, and it was talking about Universal. It was talking about how they built Diagon Alley out in Florida, and how they had to make the guts of a lot of the buildings in Diagon Alley modern and very structurally sound. They had to add extra supports, extra foundation because of the weather in Florida. But
yeah.
the outside of it looks like old and decrepit, and fit in that Harry Potter thing, which I think exactly is going to happen here at Villains Land. Exactly the same thing that's happening in Dark Universe at Epic Universe. The inside guts are going to be structurally sound and very high tech and very, just like completely. What's the word I'm looking for? Like double supported and all that, but the outside of it is just going to be looking completely themed. So that I'm happy about. It's not going to look like a modern building from the outside.
Yeah, no, exactly, and I'm really excited to see like the construction on this, like the progress
Oh,
as it goes,
good.
because this is Disney's. Because here's the thing, everybody on the internet was crying about Disney needs to respond. Disney needs to respond. Like, I'm sorry, conductor, and everybody watching this. I'm sorry. Like, Disney doesn't have to do anything.
No,
Like,
they don't. No, they
it's like everybody's crying about them to respond, to respond, to respond. It's like, okay, yes, friendly competition is good, like you alluded to earlier, conductor, right? Like how they, how they know each other and they work with each other, stuff like that. And like, right, like we all know that they get along with each other.
yeah,
And friendly competition is good because us as the consumer, that benefits us.
yeah,
At the same time, though, because Disney has been kind of disappointing people lately, they really need to be in competition with themselves and up themselves. And for Dark Universe, at least, this is their answer to you know Dark Universe. So there you go, people. You got your answer. It's to
yeah,
Epic Universe. I mean, like,
yeah. And to quote your point, at the very beginning when I started doing videos with Orange Grove 55 and George and even yourself, when me and you were on the channel, I was like that. I was saying, Epic Universe is getting built. What is Disney's response? What are they going to bring to the theme park to kind of keep it relevant? And now that I'm looking at it, and minus this D23,
yeah.
because I kind of had these thoughts a while back. The Disney company has a lot to offer. They didn't have to do all this; they wanted to do it. I'm happy that they're doing it. Like you said, it's a friendly competition between two companies. Again, they get along. At the end of the day, it benefits us, the consumer. It brings what we enjoy as fans of entertainment, things that we grew up with. It's bringing things to life, and I'm going to be the first person to say that I'm not complaining about that. I absolutely love that. I think to make things more in the positive direction, saying, "Oh well, you know." Universal's coming out with Dark Universe, Disney, you better respond or else. It's like, no, no, those days are long gone. We can't do that. It's unnatural. It's just negative upon negative, and obviously, with them building a villain's land, which is absolutely incredible, just from this one picture alone, I'm sure they're going to have many more pictures coming
Hmm.
soon. But from this picture, looking at this compared to Dark Universe, I'm excited for both. I'm
Yeah,
excited
me
for
too.
Universal. I'm excited for Disney. Disney has a lot of great things coming that was announced for D23. Universal has a lot of great things coming to their theme parks with their Florida park and their Hollywood park. So both companies are giving us new experiences, and it's only benefiting us as the consumer. You can't argue with that. You just cannot do that.
Yes, and connection. And also, I want to point something else here too, right? I'm excited for both Epic Universe, all the Disney announcements that are coming, and for Dark Universe and for Villains End, right?
Yeah,
Here's the thing, though, is that I'm really proud of Disney, and I know I'm going to sound like a Disney shill or pixie dust or whatever, screw
yeah,
off, but like, um, I'm really proud of Disney because here's the thing, Disney for a long time has been afraid to go dark, right? And people, fans from whether it's Universal or Knott's Berry Farm or Disney, like adults want to see kind of more darker, scarier stuff, right? Now, how scary were they going to make Villains Land? Again, probably not as scary as Epic Universe because it's still Disney.
yeah,
Probably, I don't know. I'm assuming, but if it's super creepy, it's got that little bit of scary vibe to it, an intense coaster, a good thrilling dark ride, right? um and it has that atmospheric of being just a creepy, you know villain's land. Like, yeah, honestly, I'm really proud of Disney because they've been scared to go in this direction to even be a little bit creepy, right? and or to be scary, right? And now it looks like they're going at with this, with the Cuckoo Arm Tony Stark attraction, and then that Monsters Inc. suspended coaster ride. It looks like Disney is starting to go after, the more high thrilling, mature thrill seekers in a
Yeah.
sense.
You
So,
oh, go ahead.
I was saying, and then so in that respect, right? Since Disney has now opened that door, they can't go back.
No.
That door is now open.
Yeah.
You know.
They have to go forward. No point intended on that, but they have to go forward. And one of the things I think why so many people that love the theme parks, love Universal, love Disney, love Knott's, Six Flags, Legoland, just love theme parks in general.
Yeah.
I think why a lot of people were leaning towards Universal, and including myself at one point, was the fact that we were not hearing much from the Disney side. And the reason
Yeah.
I say that is when you have a D23 event and you're putting up ticket prices for this event for people to come in to see what's new and to meet, Imagineers, whether they're current Imagineers, retired Imagineers, meet possibly the CEO, meet like Josh tomorrow, hear the exciting news, what's coming to the theme parks domestically and internationally. And you have a D23 like the one that happened in 2022, where it was 99% blue sky and nothing happened. Meanwhile, that Disney knew about Epic Universe for God knows how long, because that wasn't a 1 year. Oh, let's plan it out and now we're start building. This was
Yeah.
a 5 to 10 year. We're drawing sketches. We're going over how it's going to look. This that. So Disney has known for quite some time about Epic Universe and Dark Universe, but just Epic Universe in general. I'm
Hmm.
again, I'm not saying that I'm not happy that Disney is doing all this. I'm glad that Walt Disney World is getting a massive upgrade with Villains Land, with Cars Land, with everything that's going on with Monsters Inc. Land, with the suspended roller coaster, which is going to be the first of its kind for the Disney company. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm happy for all that because again, I'm going to say it again. It benefits us as the consumer. I'm just saying that I kind of feel that you know they're on the right track. They are absolutely on the right track with what they announced at D23. I just kind of feel that 2022, that version of D23, really shot them in the foot by
Yeah.
doing it. And it put a lot of bad taste in people's mouths, whether people want to admit it or not.
It did, but here's my problem though, conductor. Right.
Yeah,
So correct me if I'm wrong. Right. And people on the internet at home, you can say I'm wrong too. uh, but it's like, okay, those last two D23s were not good for Daddy Josh.
no,
But this one, it was. And I was going to say kudos and credit to where it's due. Daddy Josh delivered on his D23. And my problem is people are still complaining about it. Now I get it, right? You're not going to like every single thing that's announced, right? That's not realistic, right?
no,
You're not always going to like this or like that. But when the fans, as a fan community as a whole, when you've been complaining for the last D23s with no announcements, maybes, what ifs, and all that jazz. And now we finally get announcement after announcement after announcement of concrete things that aren't maybes or what ifs, but they're actual things that are happening. Then it's like, find something else. Now we're gonna dig into that and find something about that to complain about. And I'm
exactly.
like, dude, like this is why, and like I think Disney, while I know that they do listen to the fans, at the same time, it's like it discourages them even more to not listen to us because they're like, well, you guys are just a big bunch of whiny babies. You guys want to have your cake and eat it too, you know?
It, it,
And,
ex- exactly.
and it's just ridiculous because then it's like, the fan community cries about this, cries about that, and it's like, well, we're giving you what you want. What do you want us to do, really, right?
Yeah.
So it's on one hand, like I don't want like this the Walt Disney WDI shouldn't be beholden to fan, wants and needs, right?
No.
They should listen to them, but not be beholden to it. And that's where, like, I know that, like, Disney, the D23 events are for like the hardcore, diehard fans.
Sure.
But really, when the majority of people who go to these parks are normies, and these people, like, I'm sure if you ask your neighbor down the street, they're not going to know about this,
No.
you know. So it's like once it's there, they're like, "Oh, this was so cool, right?" And then you have your theme park community complaining, "Oh, well, this sucks. I don't like that they did this," and it's just like Disney hearing all these complaints is kind of like them. They're like, "Well, you guys complain about everything, so we're not going to take you as seriously
Yeah.
as you know as we would have because you guys cry about everything."
Well, let me give my opinion on that because I have the exact same opinion plus more.
Oh, ooh,
Y-
spicy.
yeah, very um, no, I completely agree with you on that. People, no matter what, you're not gonna always satisfy every single person.
Mhm.
Me and George, especially myself, me and George work in retail.
Yeah,
And retail, one of the first things that you're going to know if you work in retail is you can't satisfy every single customer that walks into your building. Someone is going to complain about something.
yeah,
And the point I'm trying to make is like you said with the theme parks, with Disney, you know, obviously, like you said, the last two D23s before this one did not help the company or it didn't help Daddy Josh at all. But with this D23, which was absolutely just mind blowing, I'm to this very minute, I'm still mind blown. Um, it was a great day for not only Daddy Josh but Bob Iger for his
mhm,
legacy for the second time,
yep,
and the Disney company in general. Again, you can't please everybody. The fact, the grain of salt we should take away from this is the fact that areas that weren't weren't being utilized for guests are now going to be utilized for guests. New things are coming, new rides, new attractions, new meet and greets, new gift shops, new restaurants, new
yeah,
entertainment. You can't tell me that's not a good thing. It's just like I'm going to take a page off of what OG and George said this morning on their video. You know, people are going to complain. You can't satisfy everyone, but to uh, to the majority of fans, everyone's excited. You're talking about taking over, like I said, taking over space at Walt Disney World, even the Disneyland Resort that was not being used before, and now it's going to be used. And new experiences based off of movies and entertainment from these companies are coming to life now, no longer on the screen, but coming to life in person where you can actually go into this land,
yep.
go into this attraction, and actually see this come to life. What the hell are you bitching about? Come on, man. What are
Exactly.
you complaining about?
That's what I'm saying. And I like I said, right? Like what we both said, we get it. No, not every person's going to like every single announcement. That's
No,
fine. Like, hey, if you don't like, Coco, I guess, then okay. But it's like, at what point do us as a fan community have to like just grow the hell up and be like, okay, cool, we're getting new stuff. We should be more appreciative than how the community is sounding off right now.
yeah,
Like the community, they sound like a bunch of whiny, spoiled brats,
yeah,
and it's very infuriating. So that's another reason why, like in the intro, I am not really on Twitter that much anymore, just because the opinions and arguments that would want to debate or have a discussion with, I just don't feel like doing. Like I'd rather have this conversation like this, right, face to
yeah,
face or voice to voice, whatever, and actually talk about it because that's fun. Doing that stuff on this Twitter is not fun,
no,
but but yeah, no, I'm very excited, right? I mean, there's some stuff I'm more excited about than others. But hey, you know what? Everybody in every park is getting something new,
yeah,
especially for the. And here's the thing too: people were complaining about how much, and me included, a conductor. I was complaining about how much the last D23s, how much the international parks were getting. They're getting this, they're getting that. domestic parks, beep, 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 but
Yeah.
anything. Now this focus was on domestic parks getting huge stuff, right? That was great. I love that, right? And so I'm not complaining at all. I thought this was one of the best D23s, along with their movie announcement slate too, by the way,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
which was really good. So yeah, dude, really looking forward to all this stuff. Oh, and also their 4 cruise line ships that they're having coming out as well.
Absolutely, and I'm super excited for that because I've told OG before, one of these days, one of
Yeah.
these days, all four of us have to work out our schedule, and all four of us, me, you, George, and OG 55, have to go on a Disney cruise. We have to do it.
Yes, we have to do it.
Have to do
Hey, here's it. We can go down here at San Diego.
it.
Bam.
Hey, if they have a ship, I am so down. I cannot even tell you. My head's already spinning. My
Yes, dude.
head's
I should absolutely do that, conductor. Hell yes, I'm so down for that. But
already.
conductor, I want to ask you though, what are your thoughts on Villains Land? Like, what do you want to see? Like, do you like this concept art? And what are you hoping like to get from Villains Land as a
Okay.
fan?
So first of all, I'm mind blown we're getting this land. The second thing is I just again just looking from this one picture that we have, it's incredible. Just the nostalgic of it, the theming of it, the fact that you can see at least one attraction in the land that we are definitely getting is that roller coaster. You have Magnificent, the dragon, and it looks like in full scale shooting green fire coming out of his mouth. You got this wicked looking decrepit castle that's standing way tall above the land. You got all this kind of creepy looking. Again, I can go on for hours. This just looks absolutely incredible, and I'm really hoping they, whether it's the roller coaster that you can obviously see, or possibly the second attraction they probably will have in this land. And again, don't hold me to that because it's not confirmed, but I'm pretty sure they are going to have a second attraction. Hopefully, it's a dark ride. I hope they incorporate the classic villains from the Disney Vault, as I'm going to call it, at in the Disney Vault, all the Disney villains that they have to incorporate in this land. I think it's more than possible. They have a great opportunity to do it because, like we've seen with Epic Universe, with their Dark Universe, they're incorporating all their Universal monsters into that land. So the Disney has the same opportunity to do that with their Disney villains and then incorporate it into this land. But just looking at this, because I love Halloween. I love, because every single year, and my community is going to be seeing it very soon. In a few weeks, I'm going to Halloween Horror Nights out here in Hollywood. For
Woo!
opening weekend, I'm super excited for that. I've been going since 2016. I'm a huge fan of Michael Myers and Halloween and the whole movie genre of that. To see this in first person, just looking at a picture, I can only imagine seeing this in person, walking through the land. I am just mind blown how this looks.
So I have a question for you, conductor, because
Sure.
I know that because let's do like a little comparison, kind of
Sure.
with Dark Universe. I know
Yeah.
that with Dark Universe, they said like that they're gonna have like little kind of scare zone areas, so to
Yes.
speak, where like you have an experience where it's kind of like scary. I think they have like a lesser scary one and a more scary one. But
Sure.
going off that concept, do you think we'll get something like that for Villains Land?
It's more than possible. I do see it happening. Um, if they are going to have scares, I'm going to be really honest with you. They're probably going to be scaled back
Yeah.
on the scares because, again, it is Disney.
Mhm.
And again, OG might give me some crap over this because he did say in one of his videos that Disney needs to stop being known as a little kids type park and needs to be both little kids but also adults as well. So I can see some areas with some villains being more scary than others. Um, Again, it depends on the villain, how they use how they incorporate that as a meet and greet and a scare if they do add that. But I do believe they are going to do that. It's just to what scale they're going to do it, and how each villain is going to be either more scary or less scary is kind of, it's going to be interesting how they do that.
Yeah, and the thing that I was really impressed with the Dark Universe was like how much theming and atmosphere and storytelling that is within is within the land outside the attractions, right? Like in the restaurants, the shops, right? So I'm really curious to see how Disney is going to incorporate that in their villains land, in their shops, and their restaurants
Yeah.
as well.
You know, if you look at, Epic Universe for Dark Universe, one of the restaurants, um, it's like a, I want to say it's completely immersive, but it's like you're in kind of like Dracula's dungeon,
Yes. Hmm.
and you're eating in this whole atmosphere, and it's kind of like the same concept like with Super Nintendo World with Toadstool Cafe. You don't feel like you're in a theme park. You feel immersed in Toadstool's, in Toad's world, and in the Super Mario world when you're eating. You don't
Hmm.
feel like you're at a theme park. That's why I'm kind of hoping with Villains Land, whatever restaurant they might have, because you know they're going to have a sit down restaurant. Obviously, they're going to have a quick service location. That's just almost a guaranteed fact. But they're probably going to have a sit down restaurant. I'm hoping it's going to be completely immersive. And what villain they use, I don't know. Maybe they might use multiple villains to immerse yourself in that dining space. I don't know, but I think personally, if other theme parks are doing it, why not? You don't, you kind of want to feel like you're not in a theme park. You kind of want to feel like you're in their world and you're visiting their world. You know what I mean?
Right. And back to what I was saying before, right? Because how this is a villain's land, and if the experience is as little bit scary as it looks,
Sure.
again, like I said, this is the floodgates have opened with Disney now, where this is experiences like where now Disney as a family-oriented company, it has now expanded their horizons to now include more mature things, right? And I mean, look, we got Deadpool in the park, or at least temporarily, Deadpool moving in the park, right?
Yeah.
And there's outcry of him being in the park, right? I think it's cool. I think it's fine if Deadpool be in the park because again, the Disney parks are for the family, right? For the kids, but also for the adults, you
Sure.
know. And so it's not like Deadpool's out there like cussing and swearing and everything, you know. It's like, but he's there, and I think with this, Disney, which again I'm proud of them because they're finally starting to open up to more mature um experiences for their audience.
Yeah, and they're not getting rid of a lot of the kid friendly, ideas either, but they're
Right.
also incorporating the adult, entertainment. So all genres of life can enjoy it, whether you're a kid, you're an adult, you're a teenager, you're getting all aspects of entertainment.
Exactly, and this is why, in my opinion, conductor. This is why, in my opinion, that Disney will continue to always be on top. I know that you love Universal, and they're great. They are a great park and a great company. But I
Yeah,
think what Disney excels in is trying to make their experiences that there's something for everybody in a general sense.
yeah,
So I think with them doing this, that's freaking awesome. That they're expanding into this type of territory. I'm loving it. And I think too with this, I think Disney now in the modern age has realized this is something they like actually probably have to do now
yeah,
because like I said, they are competing with like I said, compete with yourself, yes, but you do have the competitor now doing something like this. And people, especially the age of social media and how popular Halloween is, people love villains and darker themes. You're like I'm an adult now. You're an adult, right? We
yeah,
were kids at one point, but now we're adults. So you got to keep your audience while trying to attain new ones.
yeah.
So that's a whole balancing act, and I think with them doing this is a very smart move, especially at the time of the age that we're living in now.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And one thing I will say is, with these new lands coming, obviously Avatar for the Disneyland Resort. You got the Avengers E-ticket. I don't know about the other ride, but the Avengers E-ticket, and then you got the Villains Land here, and possibly Cars Land. I don't know. Maybe I might incorporate all of it. I don't know, but those three for sure, I think, should not be a budget cut type situation. If they're gonna put their money where their mouth is, Villains Land, Avatar and DCA and the Avengers E-ticket. Obviously there's other projects as well, like Cars Land, the Monsters Land. Um, you know, don't cheap out on that. Don't do that, especially Villains Land. I have to put Villains on top of the list.
Yes.
Don't cheap out on that. You go full bore if you have to. You have the land out there. You have the space to do it. You have the funding to do it. Do it. People have been waiting so freaking long for this idea to come to life. And if you start budget cutting and doing all this bizarre nonsense, it's really going to just put another rock in that ripple pond that you do not want as the Walt Disney Company. And a lot of people said, with Josh tomorrow, with how hard he went with D23, he is now becoming a top three contender to become the new CEO
Hmm.
of the Walt Disney Company when Bob Iger retires for the second time in 2026. So, a good way to prove, I think, in my opinion, others have their own opinion, but in my opinion, if he's going to stay true to his word, don't budget cut some like this. You go full bore no matter what.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree 100% with you, conductor. I think for sure that the two lands that will not be budget cutted will be Villains and Pandora. I think for sure those two will be the ones that will not have any type of, you know, cheapening on. The
No.
other ones I could see, Coco not really because it's just a ride.
Yeah.
So, but the other lands or whatever, maybe, but I think these two primarily, like what you see on your screen, Villains in top left, Pandora. I think those two they're gonna go really all out on for
Oh,
sure.
they should. And I brought up the question earlier, Webba, and I want to just touch back on this.
Yeah.
With the 2028 Olympics coming, obviously it's going to be in Southern California compared to Florida.
Hmm.
Do you think the Disneyland Resort starts going really hard and ramping up construction with what they already announced for D23? So the Avengers two rides, your time out Pandora and Coco. Do you think that those three three ideas should start coming to fruition starting in 2025, which would give Disney 3 years from that point on to bring these to life? Or do you think it's not possible?
If there's any, if there's anything in DCA that if they were to start now to be done by the time the Olympics is here, would should be Pandora.
Yeah.
I
With
say that because the thing is that yes, I guess you could do all of them at the same time, probably. But then also you have to remember too, what about the parking structure?
the Eastern Gateway. Yeah.
You
That
know,
that's another problem.
so I would think that if anything, Pandora would be the biggest kind of bang for your buck in terms of how long it takes to build something. If you're going to do one project at a time in DCA,
Yeah.
then Pandora would be the one to do up until when Olympics is here, because you have a whole land and about a attraction or two that you have to build.
Yeah.
So and that would be adding a lot more capacity.
That, and like we talked about earlier with Pandora, if it goes into the Simba parking lot, it's
Right.
not taking up the whole parking lot. So a lot of that area could still be used for parking. but that very back corner can be all Pandora, and they can have, I hate to say it, but they can have walls galore like they had in Epcot for years and years and years, where
Yeah.
you saw was walls, but at least we would have in Pandora. So I'm not
Um,
opposed to that.
or if they want to be really ambitious, if it's within the 5 years, because here's the thing: you 5 years from now, the problem with that is that that leads to 2029.
Yeah, and 2030
Yeah,
if you want.
2030. So that's past the Olympic date.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so then they would really have to haul ass,
Yeah,
and if they want to do everything, haul ass and complete the Coco ride, the two Avengers attractions,
a lot of
and
that.
Pandora all at the same time. That's a lot of construction. Plus the Easter Gateway project that still has to be done.
Yeah. So I think as much as I would love to see Pandora come before the Olympics, I think what they will do, they will build the Avengers e-ticket. They probably, I don't know for sure, will build that new Avengers attraction with the arms,
Hmm.
and they will build Coco. I
Yeah,
think if those three right there, I think they can have that done before the Olympics, and obviously still have Pandora being built, but it won't be complete until after. But at least you'll have three new attractions that will add capacity to DCA by the time 2028 happens. I can see
yeah.
it happening.
Actually, you know what? I think you're right. I think I'm wrong. I think that it is. You're right. I think it is smarter to do those three attractions because they're a lot smaller projects than doing it in a whole new land.
Yeah, and you got to remember something. Obviously people are going to complain. I'm not talking about Disneyland guests. I'm talking about the surrounding neighbors and all that.
Yeah.
They're already not happy that you know Disneyland 4 got approved. They're not happy. Um, and I feel like Pandora, looking at how grand. You know what? Matter of fact, let me click on this again. Looking how grand it is,
It's
you're
huge.
you're talking about some major, yeah, I'm talking major construction, major detail, major, but just building and just you know uh, how can I put it, like dust and fumes and whatever else coming from the construction vehicles, and then
Noise. A lot of noise.
a lot of noise and all that stuff. And the Simba parking lot's literally right backed up to housing development. And I think the best bet, like I was saying, is the Avengers e-ticket, the new Avengers ride that's coming, and the Coco Dark ride. I think with those three happening, I don't see why that cannot be done in 3 years, with
Yeah, that's true.
Pandora being built in the process as well, because this is going to take all 5 years to build.
Yeah,
I'll
I
be
I
honest.
do believe you, conductor. I think you are right about that. This will take longer. And then the three attractions will be built first. I mean that makes more sense. I don't know why I said Pandora first,
No,
but yeah, you are right though, I think.
it's all good. The only reason I say that Avatar is going to take the longest out of the four, I'm going to say out of the four things coming to DCA,
Yeah.
is the fact that just like J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter when it was being built, I think if I'm not mistaken, out here in Hollywood, it did get delayed a couple times because there were things that J.K. Rowling went in and she's like, "What the hell is this? Why are you doing it this way? Change this, move that." So you can imagine James Cameron, one
Oh,
of the best, you know, one of the best guys out there in the movie film industry. Besides, you got George Lucas, you got Steven Spielberg. He's up there in that A list of filmmakers, and just overall just one of the greatest guys. You can imagine that he is going to be nitpicky about every single detail that goes into this land. He's not going to let anything slip.
oh yeah, and on top of that, I bet you him and Joe Rody are gonna work together again
Oh yeah,
to make
without
this.
Oh, without doubt, dude. I think if anything, if Joe Rody does wind up wanting to retire, I think it'll be after this project. I
Yeah,
think
actually,
his name on this.
oh yeah, he's like, that's my final masterpiece. But you know what's cool though is that I'm gonna probably might get some flack for saying this, but
Sure.
I think our Pandora might be a little bit better than Walt Disney World. And I say that because first of all, I mean, this looks amazing. So is Walt Disney World's, but because ours is already going to be built with in mind the current and next few movies.
Yeah,
Whereas, so by the time it's built, it's still gonna feel really current. Not saying
yeah,
that the other Pandora doesn't, but that one was built with only like the first Avatar movie in mind. This one's gonna is being built in mind with the current and consecutive sequels.
exactly. And that's what's great about it. See, again, you know, Disneyland's version is seeming to be more superb than Walt Disney World's, which is actually shocking because you would think it would be the other way around. You know, knowing that Walt Disney World's a tourist destination, you would think they would have something grand like this. Don't get me wrong. Like you said, Avatar out there, it's grand. I've seen pictures, I've seen videos, I've seen, clips and whatnot. I haven't gone through the land myself, but from what I've seen, it's grand enough, and I can only imagine how much more grand this is going to look
Oh,
compared.
dude, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. I know. I can't wait. It looks really awesome. We have to wait all these next years, and we're all gonna be older by the time this thing opens up. Of course, you know.
Now, I think I'm going to be what 37. I'm going to
Oh,
be 7 years old when this opens.
dude.
Uh, uh,
Oh my God.
so,
Well, I hope I hope I'm still alive by then.
yeah. Well, if it's not if they're not building it like Tron, you will be.
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly.
Um,
Oh man, that's great.
oh yeah. But I want to ask you closing thoughts about
Yeah.
everything we talked about.
Yeah, sure. So here's the thing. Me as a theme park fan, especially as a Disney fan, I am super excited. Like all those announcements were fantastic. I'm so happy that DCA is getting some. Oh, which by the way, I also want to point out too. A lot of people are complaining that, especially I saw like on threads and forums. Well, how about Disneyland? Why is Disneyland not getting anything? Guys, Disneyland doesn't need anything. It has everything almost that it could have. Disneyland just got Toontown. It got a reimagined Treehouse. It's getting an altered new Haunted Mansion queue. It's getting a Madame Leota gift shop. It's getting Tiana's Bayou Adventure. It had Galaxy's Edge. Like so much new stuff that Disneyland Park has gotten. Okay, it's a stacked park. It doesn't need it. DCA on the other hand needs it.
Yeah.
So the Disney, we can worry about that in the future. DCA right now. So I'm happy we're getting all this great stuff for California. Happy with the and yeah, on top of that though, Disneyland is getting something. We're getting the Walt animatronic. So there you go. And so yeah, we're getting all this great stuff, current new stuff in the Southern California theme park, which is freaking awesome. I'm happy to hear about the 4 new cruise ships. That's great. Hope to go on a cruise one day, and then all 4 of us can go. Walt Disney World finally, Magic Kingdom getting some great love that it needs. Oh yeah, and then uh, their park Animal Kingdom is getting the Tropical Americas with the new Indiana Jones ride, which is replacing Dinosaur. But they're going to have their own Indiana Jones ride, which is finally because growing up for years, I was always asking. Why doesn't Florida have an Indiana Jones ride? I know you have a stunt show, but this ride out here is so freaking fantastic. Why don't you have your own? Like, it's crazy. So I'm happy that they're getting a Indiana Jones ride. Go Florida. And then, you getting your Monsters Inc. area, first ever Disney suspended coaster. That is dope. And then of course, you have the 2 other Spider-Man rides that were announced. That's awesome. So yeah, just a lot of cool stuff for the Disney theme parks, and I'm really happy we got all this stuff, and I'm looking forward to all of it. Will I be able to experience all of it? Probably not. But either way, I'm so excited for everybody that lives in those regions. And yeah, theme park conductor. How about yourself? And for some reason, I cannot talk. I don't know why.
It's all good. We've been talking for almost 3 hours, so I can see why. Why we would fill up those laugh canisters in Monsters Inc. 10 times over by now.
Oh yeah,
Um,
right.
uh, no, but I'm super excited for the theme park industry. We as fans in this modern day of age, we are definitely reaping the benefits of
hmm
everything the theme park world has to offer, whether it's the Walt Disney Company, whether it's Universal, whether it's Cedar Fair. The list just goes on and on and on. But the fact that what we saw from D23, I am mind blown. I am super excited. Just everything. I've been saying it since the land opened at DCA for Avengers Campus that it needed more attractions. We're finally getting it after all this time. I'm super stoked for that. A Coco Dark ride. I watched the movie with my niece that was just out here months ago. That was a lot of fun. Me and her watching it. I'm super excited for what that has to offer. Avatar, I've seen both movies. I can't wait to see the third one coming out. And the fact that we're getting this grand land is just absolutely mind blowing. Magic Kingdom, I'm sorry to you guys. I want to extend my apology that you guys, some of you that are losing Tom Sawyer's Island for cars, but I am glad you guys are getting cars because there is a lot of you that wanted a version of cars. And I'm glad it's not a carbon copy of the one out here in DCA. So I'm happy about that. I am jealous that you guys are getting the Monsters Land. You guys suck, but that's all right. Also, you guys are getting the Villains Land, which you guys have been crying out for years, and maybe even a decade. Who knows? But definitely a long time. I'm glad you guys are finally getting it. Just overall, everything we talked about, everything we saw at D23, everything that I've seen, from content creators like Orange Grove 55, Disney the Italiano, Five Fires, David from Fresh Baked, and the list goes on. Everyone's super excited. Everyone's shaking in their chairs, as I like to say, anticipating all these new rides and expansions and lands and just experiences overall. I am just super excited.
So
Super excited.
I have one question for you, conductor. This
What's
this
that?
is gonna be a kind of a hot little thing, probably.
Okay.
Okay, right. So we're all excited for this stuff, right? Walt
Sure.
Disney World and Disneyland. But
Yes.
now, but now, my friend, let's talk about price. Let's
Ooh.
talk about the cost and expense that the guests are going to have to now fork over once these open up. Because we know that Disney always constantly raise prices. And how about Magic Keys and annual passes? How, because already people are priced out. How much further in just 5 years are people going to get priced out from Magic Keys and from tickets?
I hate to even say that, but it is going to be true. Magic keys are going to go up. Prices on tickets, on 1 day tickets, 3 day
hmm
tickets, 5 day tickets, they're going to go up. Prices in the theme parks for food, for drinks, for merch, that is all going to go up. That is unavoidable. Disney, like Webba said, Disney wants their money back, and the only way they're going to get it back is by jacking the prices even higher and higher. And you know, basically, all these attractions, just get mentally prepared. You're gonna have to pay for Lightning Lane for a lot of them, especially like the Avengers E-ticket attraction, the E-ticket attraction for Avatar when that comes. I'm
hmm
sure Coco. All these new rides are very exciting, but you better believe Disney's going to get their money back.
Yeah, and remember, everybody at the Camp Hot Rock said that they're looking to make the Disneyland Resort a multi-day, multi-night destination. What does that sound like? Walt Disney World.
Yep,
So,
and
which means big bucks of traveling money.
yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. Mr. Webba, it was wonderful to have you on. I think this is the second time I've had you on. We've
Yeah.
gone 3 hours both times. It's absolutely incredible talking to you. I think
Yes.
I think George and OG55 has some competition. I don't know if they can go 3 hours. I'm gonna condense this in this video right now, if they watch this tomorrow and they get to this point, I challenge you both to do a 3-hour video. Me and Mr. Webba did it, so um,
Absolutely.
but no, it was an absolute honor to have you on. I'm glad we were able to cover this because it's very important. It's very exciting for the theme park community, without a
Mhm.
doubt. It was very, like I said, it was very important to go over every single land. We did miss some, the Monsters Land and a couple other things. The Lion King attraction that's in the and Disney Paris. We will make another video, probably me and Mr. Webba again, another 2-hour video
Right.
about those very soon. But again, it was a absolute honor to have you on, um, and it's always a great time talking to you. I know you have to get back to saving the town with your spider web moves and whatnot. But before I let you go, where can everyone find you, sir, on social media?
Yes, absolutely. But first, I just want to say, Theme Park Conductor, thank you so much for having me on. It was a blast. This was amazing news. I love talking about this stuff, especially for the future, what we're getting here in our theme parks in Southern California. So great. So happy for you guys in Walt Disney World in Florida. This was fantastic. Again, thank you so much for having me on. This was a blast. But yes, so everybody, you can find me, Mr. Webba, on Instagram and Twitter at Webslinger760, and I am active on both, but I've been more active on Instagram. So if you want to talk shop, theme parks, games, movies, whatever, I'm there. Twitter, I'm there too, not as much, but I am there. But yeah, you can find me both there, and you can also find me in the parks because I'm going to Disneyland at least twice a month. So if you see me, say hi or something.
Definitely, definitely, without a doubt. And I want to quote something really quick that I've said with every video up to recent. Like Webba said, even with me, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at Theme Park Conductor. On Twitter, you can find me at Theme Conductor. As all of us content creators provide the theme park news, the entertainment news to everybody in the community, all we ask for is that you voice your opinion, but you make it respectful. You don't go down a negative path. You don't attack people because it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant for anybody. We all have different opinions on how the theme parks should bring new experiences, new lands, new attractions, new guest experiences. And all we try to do as content creators is provide that news for you. So it's up for discussion, for debate, but all we ask is to make it civil, make it respectful, make it a positive. If you don't have a positive comment to post online, all we ask is just keep that to yourself. No one needs to be absorbed to the negativity. We need to be on a positive track. And one of the things that I can proudly say is that here on Theme Park Conductor, I have been talking to other content creators, and hopefully soon we are going to do a live stream where it's going to be a kind of like a roundtable live stream, and we're going to talk about this heavily about just providing the news to the communities, being respectful, doing all that. I know OG55 and George did a video with their two friends about it, but I'm gonna start this on YouTube where we're really gonna just do a maybe even a 2 or 3 hour video where we have different content creators coming on and off the live stream talking about it, and showing their support. Because with smaller channels compared to bigger channels, everyone deserves the right to be treated respectfully, positive, and exactly the same. No one is above anybody else. We're all trying to give that news to everybody, you know so that's
Uh, Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, with that further ado, I want to thank everyone for joining tonight. Thank you for watching. Again, definitely check out Mr. Webba. If you see him in the park and he's trying to jump on a building with the spider webs, definitely take a picture. That'll be something that definitely keep a photo moment. But again, I will see everybody tomorrow night on my Conductor Thursday live stream. Again, our guests will be Universal High, and we are going to talk about the past, present, and future of Universal Studios Hollywood. So it's going to be a great conversation. Have a great night, everybody. Stay cool, be respectful, be kind to one another, and I will see you tomorrow night.